Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the third Water Reuse Day, that is the final event of the Prima project FIT4REUSE. It's a pleasure to have all of you here, both here in presence at Palazzo Pepoli in Bologna, as well as I are very grateful to the persons, the attendees that are at this moment online with our streaming. I would like to call here on the stage Luca Fontanesi. Luca is the delegate of the rector on research competitive projects. Thank you, Luca. And we should also have connected online Professor Angelo Riccaboni. I don't know if he's still with us.
Yes.
Hello, Angelo. Hello, Angelo. Thanks to be here. So, Luca, please sit with me. And this is the opening session with just our greetings. So, just a few words from my side, and then I will leave the floor to Luca and Angelo. FIT4REUSE, as I said before, is a Prima project started in 2019 on the first call of a Prima program, and now the project is at the end of its life, by the end of this year. So we want to organize this event here in Bologna with all the partners that are here in presence to celebrate and to share the final results of our project. So thanks of all of you to be here. And I would like to thank, first of all, University of Bologna, ISPRA, and the Alma Mater Foundation that helped us in the organization of this event. And also, probably, the main thanks has to go to Prima Foundation. Prima Foundation was for us the founder of the project. As I said before, this is the one of the first projects founded by Prima, financed by Prima Foundation. So we hope that all was good also in terms of evaluation from our foundation. And we have also here with us Mark Orlando, that is our project officer. So I hope that you will enjoy this event. This event will be, it's quite dense. It's 1 day and a half, this afternoon, tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. As you have seen from the agenda, it is organized following the 3 pillars of the FIT4REUSE project. I will explain later after the greetings and the roundtable the 3 main pillars. And this afternoon, we will see the results and the persons, the speakers, coming from the first pillars of the project, tomorrow morning the second pillar, and tomorrow afternoon the third pillars. Finally, I have to say that for us was a great and a very powerful and fruitful experience. So I want to thank all the consortium, all the partners coming from several countries in the Mediterranean. I believe that these kind of projects, this opportunity that Prima Foundation gave us to collaborate not only with European partners, but also with non-European partners, was very powerful. And I think that these aspects has to be very highlighted in all in the relevant context, also at European level. So I stop my speech at the moment, and I leave the stage and the floor to Professor Angelo Riccaboni. Angelo is the chair of the Prima Foundation. I remember that Angelo was here in Bologna 3 years and a half ago for the kickoff meeting of the FIT4REUSE project, and I thank Angelo again for this. And he also here with us to celebrate the end of the project. Please, Angelo, thank you.
Thank you, Attilio. I hope that you are able to hear me well.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good. So, no, thank you, Attilio. And yes, as you just said, I remember very well those days in Bologna when the project started, and I remember a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of engagement and willingness to do well on those days. I was really hit by the atmosphere that was in Bologna on those days, and 3.5 years already passed by. And it is very, very important that now we are at the end of the project. We are very proud of FIT4REUSE. We consider FIT4REUSE as a flagship initiative of the PRIMA project, of the PRIMA Foundation. You did a wonderful job, and we all should thank you for what you did. It is a great project. We always mention it during our presentation of the world because it's a clear example of excellence in research associated also with the issues of scientific diplomacy. You have a very wide partnership with countries, with researchers from the north and from the south, in particular from Turkey, Tunisia, and Israel. And you are part of our very, very good. So PRIMA is really, at the European level, an example of excellence, an example of good management of funds. And this is very important because we are working now for PRIMA 2, the next generation of PRIMA, because as you know, PRIMA started in terms of calls in 2017, and you participated, you were the winner. I remember that the rate of success was extremely low on those days because we had many participants and only a few grants available. So just also the presentation was extremely well done. So now, as I said, we are, in the meantime, we have funded 37 projects in water management out of 168. We funded water management with 53 million, and just in the first 4 years, with 311 beneficiaries involved. These are clearly examples of a great emphasis, a great importance that PRIMA gives to the efficient management of water. And topics include innovative solutions for wastewater treatment and desalination, water use in agriculture, smart tools for water, decision support system for water management. And you are part of this community, and you are the leading one of the leading projects of our community. What next? Because all of you, Attilio, myself, we are never happy. I mean, we like to achieve such an important result, but now we need to think about the future. So what we are thinking of in PRIMA is how to support our projects, or the most promising, in really translating the results of research to the benefit of our societies and to the benefit of our enterprises. So the next step from our side, and I'm sure that you will be with us, is to work in order to make it sure that the money spent by citizens, by the European citizens and the Mediterranean citizens are spent in the best possible way. It means that you did a wonderful job for research now and innovation. Now we need to bring the results towards our communities and our enterprises. So this is the next step, and I'm sure that we will find FIT4REUSE and the University of Bologna, which is a wonderful university, with us in this journey. So congratulations for what you have done, and looking forward to working together in the next steps of this wonderful journey. And now back to you, Attilio.
Thank you very much, Angelo, for your kind words. And I'm sure, I can promise to you that the entire consortium, FIT4REUSE consortium, starting from next month, will try to think on how we can go beyond the project, because your goal, you said before, we completely agree. So we start working on this, and you will find our consortium always ready to collaborate also in the future. So thank you again. I believe again, I would like to say again that I believe that PRIMA is a very important, relevant initiative. So I'm very happy to know that you are working and all the PRIMA Foundation is working for PRIMA number 2, if it's possible, and please consider all of us ready to support this process. So thank you again, Angelo, and now I leave the floor to Luca Fontanesi. Luca is our delegate on competitive research at the University of Bologna. I would like to say that my university, University of Bologna, is always very powerful and great in supporting all the researchers during the proposal submission, and also during the management. We have here Daria Zizala. I want to cite Daria because he's our project manager, and all the partners knows very well Daria. So Luca, thanks to be here for your greeting speech.
Thank you, Attilio. Thank you to everybody. It is really a pleasure, actually also an honor to be here to welcome you at the University of Bologna, that is the organizing university of this event and is hosting this event. Actually, I recognize the coordination effort of Professor Toscano. Attilio is a good friend and colleague. He was really successful to apply to this call that was able to get the project, and in collaboration with all of you. Actually, as University of Bologna, we recognize the value and the relevance of the PRIMA Foundation, and as an important funding opportunity for the agricultural system, and not only for the agricultural system in the Mediterranean area. The Mediterranean area is really strategic for Europe, because research should go not only on the north part of the Europe, but also on the south part of the Europe, where there is really the need to networking, because there are many opportunities to include high level of research activities and expertise. So as University of Bologna, we are really committed to support research projects in this area, because we see, as mentioned, that are really strategic to strengthen many opportunities that will give us the opportunities to produce very interesting results that could be also translated to practical applications. And this is really a case, FIT4REUSE. I just read the 2 keywords, reuse and reduce. In a sustainable environment, we need to go in this direction. And the research opportunities that you created with your publication, your event, your case studies are really important in this direction. So for me, again, it's really a pleasure to be here and to just hear what you did. Unfortunately, I will not be able to stay for a longer time because I have other duties, but I will follow your activities, and one of the great fan of your LinkedIn and Twitter, and always follow you in this social media, because there is a lot to learn also in this direction, because you are also a very important case study for the dissemination, and this is a great opportunity for the dissemination. And again, thank you for being here, and I hope you will have a very pleasant stay and a successful meeting.
Thank you, Luca, so much. So to conclude this first session, I would like to add some few words about what you will see in the next moment and in tomorrow. So you will be able to see the efforts that the FIT4REUSE consortium has done in terms of pilot systems, demo site, software application, simulation application, and stakeholder engagement and overall assessment. I think that recalling the words of Angelo and Luca, these are the starting point to completely apply the solution developed and the systems developed in demo site, real case, and for suggest a complete application of these systems in the Mediterranean area. So I hope you will enjoy the events that is officially opened, and I thanks again Angelo, thank you very much, and Luca, and I leave the floor to Rafael Casielles from BioAzul, a partner of the project that is the moderator of the next steps, that is a round table that Rafael will present you. Thank you, Rafa.
Hello. Well, next roundtable will be about the challenge of water scarcity in agriculture. As you know, water scarcity is a real problem in Europe and the Mediterranean. For instance, 30% of Europe's population live under water-stressed areas, and in southern European countries and Mediterranean, agriculture is the main consumer of water. Therefore, any solution that wants to cope with water scarcity needs to take into account the role of agriculture. To discuss all these issues, I want to invite 4 prominent experts to this roundtable. We have with us Marco Orlando, Carmen Galindo, Adriano Batilani, and also it will be with us online Faisal Chenini. I don't know if we can connect with Faisal. Yeah. Someone can connect with Faisal to see if he's with us. We wait? Okay. I will sit down in the meanwhile. Okay, if not, we can start. I would like to start presenting Marco Orlando. Marco is our project officer in FIT4REUSE. Here we have Faisal. Hello, Faisal. Can you hear me?
Hello. Hello. Yes.
Good to see you. I'm going to start.
Nice to see you too.
Okay, I'm going to start presenting one by one, and I will pose you the questions. Okay?
Okay.
Good. So we have with us Marco Orlando, our project officer on FIT4REUSE. Thank you for being with us. Marco is the project officer in charge of the water management thematic area at the Prima Secretariat. He has worked in the public and private sectors and has 10 years of experience in project and program management with a focus on the EU Med region. Prior to joining Prima, he worked at the Malta Council for Science and Technology, where he was the national delegate to the Strategic Forum for International Science and Technology Cooperation, the high-level group on joint programming, and the EU Med group of senior officials. Good, thank you, Marco. Could you describe the main challenges the agriculture sector is facing, and also what's the role of Prima to cope with this problem?
Well, thank you very much, Rafael, for the introduction, and I would like to thank the coordinator and the consortium of FIT4REUSE for this kind invitation to be here. 3.5 years after the start of the project. It will be very interesting to be with you today and tomorrow. Well, I think we have a difficult task, me and the other speakers. We don't have much time to discuss a huge, let's say, theme. Of course, I will try also to bring in the perspective of Prima and some insights from our experience. I think it's clear, the challenges are very clear for everyone. We are confronted with a scenario where we have dwindling resources that are needed for food production, like land and water. I think climate change, we know very well what the impact is having climate change on food and water systems. And we are also all of us, it's very clear that it's very hard. We are just a few days after the COP27. We are seeing that it's very difficult to manage, globally speaking, this impact on food systems. Plus recent consequences of the war that started in Ukraine for the energy sector. So, of course, I think we have to start from a very important point that there are all these interdependencies and interlinkages between the challenges, but also from the fact that agriculture is part of the problem and also experiencing the consequences of climate change. Because it is true that, of course, the rising temperatures affect the resources that are needed to produce food. But it's also true that there is a lot of let's focus the discussion maybe on the issue of the sustainability of the way we manage water and the way the farming systems work, because we know that a big chunk of GHG emissions come from the agricultural sector, and it's not easy, of course, to solve these issues, but livestock sector has a huge footprint. Think, for example, think of the farmer at the farm operating machinery, equipment on energy that is generated from carbon fossil fuels. Think of fertilizers, think of, for example, also the agri-food value chain, all the unsustainable practices in them, okay? So we have to start also from looking at how we can at least partially fix these issues. It's not easy because everything is interrelated. And think, for example, of also, we have a huge problem of desertification in the Med, that it's increasing. We also, as Prima, organize a session at the COP27 on this issue. So we have to at least try to start reversing these trends. From our experience at Prima, for example, we are trying to look holistically at these things and the interconnections between, for example, farming and water, by implementing through the projects that you are implementing on the ground, more sustainable water management, sustainable land management. We are trying also to, I think in the beginning it was mentioned, the need to reach society, to reach, for example, the farmer at the farmer level and make them aware of how to apply fertilizers. Or, for example, we are working also on on food systems, trying to help to research this transition towards more sustainable food systems, less maybe meat-based, more plant-based. I mean, we know very well the challenges. And of course, since I think you mentioned climate change as well in the question, you cannot talk about climate change without water. Water scarcity is a problem that in the Mediterranean we have countries which are involved in Prima that are among the driest in the world, like Jordan, like Malta, where also it's good to have these countries in the program because they can teach some lessons learned. We have Israel, for example. We have countries which have pioneered water use, and more regions, more countries in the future will need these solutions, okay? So it's good to have all of these countries involved. What we are trying to do with Prima is, for example, valorizing through these projects non-conventional water resources, desalination, treatment, rainwater harvesting, trying to, through the project, also mainstream this concept of integrated water resource management, encompassing the whole water cycle from the source, distribution, treatment, reuse, discharge into the environment. We know that the largest sector, the largest withdrawals in the Mediterranean come from, of fresh water come from agriculture because it's mainly irrigated. So we are trying to, through the project, also help the region implement more efficient irrigation. And as cross-cutting teams, I would like to touch 3 points from our experience. Of course, we focus on funding research. So research and innovation are instrumental because in terms of, in this process, okay, towards sustainability, adapting to climate change, more sustainability in water and management and farming systems. I think 3 things I would like to mention very briefly before I conclude. Focusing on the diffusion of scientific results, facilitating, of course, transfer of sharing knowledge across borders, and facilitating technology transfer is what we try and do through the work on the ground that the projects are doing, which is sometimes the solutions are available, the knowledge is there, but it's somewhere, not elsewhere. So it's good to have bridges between the shores, between the countries to facilitate this process. Capacity building, we don't do that as a program. It's not a capacity building program, but you have to empower, especially the most difficult thing, users and beneficiaries of these solutions to have the right capabilities and skills to do it. And through the projects, I think this is hard to do, especially after 2 years of pandemic, but it's necessary. And what we are trying to contribute as a program in the region is the operationalization, especially from the policy perspective of the nexus. So looking at resources, at the management of resources in a more holistic, integrated way, and of course to look at the interdependencies and trade-offs among the sectors and the ecosystems and the resources to better manage, of course, both resources in farming systems and water. I hope it was not too long.
No, it was very fun. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marco. Well, we now continue with Carmen Galindo from EIT Food. She's an agricultural engineer with an inquiring mind. After a few years dedicated to food production herself, she jumped into the innovation arena, and now in EIT Food CLC South, she supports startups and SMEs in their production development pathways towards the market. She strongly believes that throughout science, innovation, and passion, we can change the way we live to make this world a better place. Carmen, how do you see the water scarcity for the agri-food sector, and what you are doing with EIT Food? I heard that you are running a very interesting program on water scarcity.
Thank you, Rafael, and thank you, the FIT4REUSE consortia for having me here. I think regarding the challenges, there is nothing that I can add already. Well, I will add something, and it's the fact that currently there are not enough resources. There is not enough water to produce the whole amount of food that we need, plus the goods that we consume, plus the energy, plus what we drink, plus etc., etc., etc. So those, and that's already a fact for the current population and what is to come. So and climate change is fastening all these issues. So when we talk about how this affects to the agricultural sector, with climate change is all around the world. Water scarcity affects not only southern region, but all Europe. And what we see also is that the main, the regions with longer and long-lasting tradition of food production, and the ones where more food is produced is even more severely affected. So now they face, farmers face a lack of water when the crops need it the most, but also surplus of water when the crops don't need it, and there are no ways of avoiding or palliating right now the effects. And also in many places where there is water, farmers are facing also the fact that the water that they have available is not of the quality they need in terms of salinity, in terms of pH, in terms of residues or pollutants, etc. So all of these challenges together, of course, from EIT Food, we cannot change or stop climate change, but what we are trying to do is to give farmers and other entities access to technologies and access to instruments to test and to de-risk the investment in innovative solutions. So as Rafael mentioned, we are running a project focusing on finding innovative solutions for water scarcity in the southern region. If you allow me for a small publicity, we are having the final events where all these solutions are being showcased these days. So we had a session today, we had a first session yesterday, and we are having 3 more next week. So if you want, just ask me and I will tell you more. So through this program, what we are looking is to search for the innovations that are out there and connect them, give them the access and the tool to scale up, and including, and we put them in contact with the end users, so with farmers, with food producers, but also with utility, because we understand that a systemic approach to tackle water scarcity is needed, and it's a better use and combine solution from the different industries, and this multidisciplinary approach is needed. So that's one of the things that we are doing from EIT Food towards water scarcity. We also have other programs that are supporting farmers on adopting more sustainable solutions, not only regarding water, but like water, irrigation management, precision farming, etc. Because one of the barriers that we see also from the agricultural sector is that farmers many times they don't have the time to go to see what is out there. So we try to put them closer the technologies that they can use for improving their processes.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmen. Now we continue with Adriano Battilani. Adriano is General Secretary of Irrigants d'Europe. He's a consultant and appointed representative of the Italian National Association of Land Protection and Irrigation Consortia, AMBI. He's member of board of directors of the Euro-Mediterranean Irrigators Community. Adriano is also a leading scientist with a strong participation in different projects, European, national, and local research. He has collaborated with the agri-food industry and their associations, and also with international bodies such as the European Union of Water Management Association, the European Irrigation Association, and other national and international associations. So, Adriano, you have worked very close with irrigators. What's your perspective of the current water crisis for agriculture?
Okay, let's start from a clear point. The irrigated sector is the front line of innovation in many industries, not only in agriculture. We have applied a lot of novel technology. We are continuously improving the level of knowledge and the level of uptake of innovation. What happened in the last year? We are observing that the crop water requirement is continuously increasing. Climate change has moved up quite a lot the threshold of the basic crop water requirement. With the management of the water we are able to do, we have reduced the amount of water we are using as a total amount. But of course, there is a gap. There is a gap that we cannot fill just relying to technologies, just relying to innovation. It means that the crop needs a basic amount of water that could be, like it was this year for the winter wheat, at least 4,000 cubic meters per hectare. If this water doesn't come from, this water doesn't come from rain or for capillary rising or for whatever other natural pathway, it must be provided by irrigation. Otherwise, there will be no crops. It's not matter to have no income for farmers, it's matter to have crops and food production for our countries. So the point is we have an increasing access, limited access to water resources. This cannot be a trade-off. It's not something that we can bargain with a different approach to the environment, with a different approach to the industry and so on. It's a matter of balance, but food production must remain on focus because, unfortunately, we have to live on this land. We cannot just surrender and think that it will be again the idyllic world as it was in pre-industrial ages. This is not the case. The second point is that we are not harvesting enough water and we are not storing enough water. Just discussion we was having with the government in Netherlands and with our sister association in Netherlands, they were just, it's curious, Netherlands is famous because they are draining water. They have built their own country draining water. What they are claiming, and they are financing by their own government money with 19 billion euro a project that is keep the water on the land. So Netherlands, that was so effective that pump out into the sea the water in less than 9 hours as far the water enter in the border of Netherlands to the sea. Now they have the problem to slow down the process and keep as much time as possible the water inside the land. So we have to think about when we are proposing to keep water on our land, to store water, to harvest rain, we have always opposition from the environmental association or from many associations that are claiming that the water must flow. To let flow water, we need to have water. So the first point is keep the water when there is an excess, regulate the flows. We are living in a country where natural water curses doesn't exist since millennia. Everything has been regulated by the man since the Roman Empire. So to think about that we can give up this kind of regulation and think about something purely natural means that we will have floods in the middle of the desert. That I think is not what we are looking for, not even the environmental infrastructure. Then Marco was touching an interesting point. Production is sufficient, let's say, we have a good level of production for the population we have, at least in Europe, and we were able to decoupling the production with the land uses. So in the last year, land uses has decreasing and production has kept more or less at the same level. This is because we have implemented a lot of technology. Energy-intensive agriculture. If we want to step back, we have to ask ourselves, in which way we can keep this decoupling, reducing the external inputs. Because we cannot change the level of production. We have to increase the level of production. So, or more land, or more inputs. So, sustainable energy, sustainable production, sustainable input, let's say, from bio industries, but we cannot step back and just say, okay, we have to use less energy, we have to use less fertilizer. It's impossible, because we will need more land to feed all the population. We have another point that also Carmen was touching, the impact on the food chain. In many cases, in many discussions, when you are talking about impact of food chain, it seems something so remotely, so vague, so that is not really touching us. We know that is touching us. We are now struggling to feed the cattle because this year with the drought, we didn't have enough production of fodder and we don't have enough corn, and we cannot buy corn. We cannot buy it. It's difficult to buy the corn because who is producing is not selling. Who is producing is trying to keep for themselves. And we are facing a situation that was easy to be forecast, that we can have the money, good industry producing good money, but with the money we have nothing to buy. So food sovereignty, that is the way to be at least sure that in the country or in our continental union, in Europe, we will have enough for the basic needs, is one of the points that must be faced managing the water scarcity, because there will be no food sovereignty without a good management of water. And this is something that also in Scandinavia and in northern Germany had learned in the last 4 years.
Thanks a lot, Adriano. We also have with us Faisal Chenini, who accompanies online. Faisal is a senior water expert with 25 years of experience at an international level, especially in Africa and Middle East. And he has worked mainly on integrated water resources and irrigation management, water policy development, water governance, non-conventional water resources, technical assistance, and supervision of projects, programs, strategies, and policies related to all these fields. He has performed several studies for the World Bank, for USAID, the European Union, and evaluated the Meta Water program for the European Commission. Faisal, thanks a lot for being with us. I would like to ask you, according to your experience in the Middle East and Africa, how do you see the water crisis? What have you been doing or your trajectory to cope with this challenge?
Yeah, thank you very much, Rafael. I would like also to thank our colleague Attilio, the coordinator of FIT4REUSE project, and all the panelists, all the project colleagues, and I will not forget to thank all participants. First of all, if you allow me, I would like to really express my honor being member of the external advisory board of FIT4REUSE project. And really, I'm very pleased also participating today with you in this third Water Reuse Day, which is an excellent initiative launched within the framework of this project. And I hope it will be maintained, and we will do our best to maintain this water reuse day. And also I'm so happy taking part of this distinguished panel to discuss an important subject that focusing on agriculture, climate change, and water scarcity, the problem of water, and within in the context of changing climate change. I think all of us, we know that the current rapid change in the world's climate is really translating into more extreme and frequent weather events, and also heat waves, droughts, and why not other problem as sea level rise. We can say now very high that the impacts of climate change on water and agriculture and the implications for food security are already alarming. So this we can say it very high, that the problem of water scarcity within the changing climate change is alarming. We know that climate change affects mainly food availability through its increasingly adverse impacts on crop yields and also the crop productivity. It limits access to food through negative impacts on rural incomes and livelihoods. In addition to the extent that food supply is being reduced by climate change, food prices will increase also and will impact both urban and rural poor. So this will create changes in the utilization of food that will impact the nutrition status. Finally, water scarcity impacted by climate changing will affect the stability of food availability, access, and utilization. I think for example, what we are doing in FAO, for example, for water scarcity within the climate change, which is a cornerstone of the work undertaken by our organization, and to assist our member countries, FAO has invested in areas that to promote food security hand in hand with climate change adaptation and mitigation, taking into consideration the water scarcity issue. And now we can talk about the water use, which is included to overcome the water scarcity problems mainly in the arid countries and the Near East and North African countries. I will stop here and over to you.
Okay, thank you, Faisal.
Rafael.
Yeah, you start commenting about the potential of water reuse, which is indeed my second question, and I would like to start again with Marco. Marco, this FIT4REUSE project is mainly about water reuse in agriculture, and I would like to ask you, how do you see these solutions as a potential non-conventional resource to cope with water scarcity, and what will be main barriers for implementation?
Okay, well, even here, I think we have to squeeze the discussion into the format that we have. but I would like to introduce a couple of points for reflection. Of course, I think what was said by the four speakers made it very clear, and I mean everyone knows already that in a context where we don't have enough resources to produce the food that we need, it becomes an imperative to valorize any input. In this case, we are talking about water, and any source of water to increase the water available in a region which, of course, is confronted with water scarcity. And I think when we, as Prima, launched the first call in 2018, we had very clear in our mind that, of course, especially for the Mediterranean, the role of valorizing unconventional water resources will become even more important in the future. It's clear that we are a bit in a situation where globally we are understanding that we have to adapt to these circumstances. And we have to shift also our mindsets, our habits. And for this reason, I think that, of course, it's clear that increased water availability is an advantage. There are some inherent socioeconomic and environmental advantages in, implementing water use. But as you said, there are some barriers. And I would like to just maybe highlight one of them and focus on the social acceptance issue, because this is not just something that, at least from our experience at Prima, it's not an issue that is important only with water use. It's important anytime you have an innovation, every time you have to change the mindset of communities, every time you have to move from science to policymakers or from science to society, beneficiaries and users. There is always a social process that is involved in the adoption of technologies, in changing these habits. Now, this is very true for water use because, of course, the concerns, it's understandable that there are concerns about the health of people, like the environmental aspect as well, the environmental impact, in the long term, the health of soils, and there are concerns about having appropriate infrastructure, regulations in place. I'm looking at society in particular, okay? The people who it's very hard to reach outside these, the venues where we congregate, where we gather ourselves. Society, why it's difficult and why it's important in the context of the discussion we're having on water use. For example, from the research perspective, when there are studies, it seems that studies about social acceptance should maybe move to a more multidisciplinary, encompassing approach, even to include, for example, psychology in them, to have a more innovative way of looking at this issue. Because really, having a solution that cannot be adopted widely, it means that you cannot implement it. So just, again, I'm talking about the social aspect. And having some more encompassing studies on, for example, from the research perspective, investigating, individual perceptions about implementing water use, and how to also facilitate that people become more aware, that, of course, implies furthering a bit the scope of these studies, also to include if you're looking at specific communities, because many of these studies and analyses are scattered. So it's important to incorporate the local values, the local constraints, the local challenges, sometimes the culture of those people who one day may switch their mind towards, for example, and this is very contentious, reusing water for personal hygiene, for drinking water, for consuming food that is produced from reused water. But again, it's an imperative, so we have to work on this. And we have successful examples even in the Mediterranean. I remember when I was living in Malta, and I familiarized with the fact that since the tiny island is super scarce in terms of water, water is desalinated also for drinking. So, I mean, this is not something that you process very easily when you're not used to it. So, I think this will require a massive, slow process of adaptation from society. You have to build trust in the authorities, in the water suppliers. You have to familiarize people with of course, the whole process, what's involved in it, what are the risks, and why, and to present water reuse as a sustainable, viable, safe option for society. And of course, again, sometimes it's difficult to move from research to society. I think it's important also to have educational campaigns, programs to have consumers more involved, for example, in water use schemes. And as the Prima Chair anticipated before, to reach society, it's good to have demonstration projects so that the results are presented to society. Okay? It's a very difficult process, but I think it's one of the barriers that we have to address. And I think it's also important that water use per se as a theme gains the same importance in the discourse, in the political discourse and the international political agenda on water security issues as other themes like water conservation, water efficiency issues, because it has to be presented, I think, as a pillar of this transition towards sustainability and, of course, the process that we need to be, all of us, part of to address water scarcity.
Okay. Thank you, Marco. Very interesting. We continue with Carmen. Carmen, how do you see water reuse and what are the barriers you identify as more relevant?
Okay. Thank you for the question. Certainly, water reuse is one potential solution that needs to be considered for the agricultural sector to face water scarcity. Not the only one. It must be coupled with other solutions such as irrigation tools, climate smart tools, water retainers, water harvesting, etc., etc. No, we need a systemic approach for the agricultural sector to be able to tackle and to adapt to the current situation, including as well the adaptation or the adoption of different crops, maybe in different regions, because climate change is not only about water. And water reuse has an enormous potential, as I'm sure it's going to be discussed today, in terms of having an alternative water source, but also in terms of fertilizers, which is also an important topic now with the current crisis, and also in terms of access to or energy production that can be used. No? However, as you've mentioned, one of the barriers that is clear is the market acceptance by the consumer, but not only by the consumer, also by the farmers. They want to know what is the quality of the water they are using, what is the pH, what kind of pathogens they have, what is the salinity, how they can manage. And I'm sure there are tools and technologies that we will be discussing these days to know and to manage that. But also consumers, farmers have to be convinced, but also the retailers, the ones that are buying the food. No? We tend to forget them, but they are the ones that have the power for the farmers. And well, I would like to take some points also. The awareness and market acceptance is one thing. Also, for water reuse to become a reality, I believe investment. There is a clear need of investment and strategy for scaling up the demos that you are working on to become a reality for the farmers and all across the world. And I'm going to quote, I hope he doesn't mind, I'm going to quote today's session, one of the experts that were in today's sessions, Gonzalo de la Cámara. He was mentioning this morning that for water reuse also to become a reality, we need to find the market fit. We need the market fit for the fertilizers, we need market fit for the water, and we need a market for the energy. So that part needs to be developed, I will say. So that's it. I give you the floor.
Thank you. You have both very interesting points, the role of the social acceptance, the different actors involved. One of these key actors is definitely the irrigators. Adriano, how do you see the water reuse, and which are the main barriers for implementation?
Well, in the short range is probably the only way we have to change the balance in between offer and demand. On the offer side, what we can do in a short time span is to promote as much as possible the reuse of water. Any other action, it will take too long to counteract the effect of climate change that we are already suffering. So this is the first point. But we have to remember that we are not producing enough reused water to be an alternative sources. So it must be integrative. So we have to think about not to non-conventional alternative sources, but non-conventional integrative sources, because never farmer will accept to be totally dependent of only one water sources, mainly after the experience we got in the last decades. So it must be something that we have to combine in a more complex schema than just a straight line from the wastewater production to the use. Then there is another point. As it was discussed for years, preparing the European regulation, risk-based management is the key, because everybody in the production chain must be safe. Last but not least, the food production, that is the very last point, but every point of the chain must be absolutely safe. And the fit-for-purpose concept that is really innovative, so start thinking about treated wastewater for reuse as an industrial product and not as a natural resources. Because as far we are able to manage what remain inside the water, or what kind of characteristics the water can have to fit for the purposes of specific users, is a customized product, is not anymore a natural resources. So this is point that must be considered but not twisted. What we are observing now from as regards Europe is that in many countries the application at the national level of the European regulation start twisting the concept, adapting to the local bureaucracy limits, which is a drama. It's the way to kill forever water use, because the farmers and the farmer association will not accept it. So this is one of the points. Then we have to talk about the way to manage all the inherent risk. What we are proposing is to have more risk sharing in between sectors and not have further charge on the farmer that are often already at the break-even point of irrigation just for the energy cost. If we are charging also more cost for the water, the break-even point will become too close to a level in which it's not convenient anymore to irrigate. And it's not a disaster only for the farmers. It's a disaster for the society. It's a disaster for all the investors that had put money in the new infrastructure that we will need to distribute and make use of this water. So if we want to mortgage the investment, we must keep alive our clients. So to keep alive our clients, it must be profitable. To charge too much and not to have a risk sharing means that probably with the volatile cost of agricultural product, it will be so often not convenient to irrigate. So, and another point is to keep the economic balance and the socio-economic balance at a good point, we have to move to decentralization. Decentralize as much and fragmenting the treatment in order to have different quality according to different points inside the system that is multi-crop and multi-irrigation techniques. So fragmenting the treatment is probably apparently not the most efficient solution from the point of view of a water manager, but in the long run for the water use, I'm convinced that it will benefit a lot all the actors of the chain.
Okay, thanks a lot, Adriano. Faisal, we have heard today that in the Mediterranean there have been pioneering experience on water reuse. So according to your international experience, what would you say are the main barriers for implementation of the use of reclaimed water in agriculture?
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is a very important question, and how we can have water reuse as a solution. I think we should take into consideration 5 important considerations. First of all, the technical considerations. We should, all of us, we know that water reuse suitability depends on the technology. And more advanced the technology, we know, all of us, the higher is the expected cost. So the technology is very important to take into consideration. That's why we, in different countries, they developed intensive expertise in the design and in the operation of technologies. But what we recommend is that research should give more attention to the use of low-cost technologies and also to shift to decentralized small scale instead of the large scale, which is the experience in many countries. Also, we should include not only the technology looking at the pumping station, distribution, storage facilities, and also irrigation system if we are talking about the use in agriculture. So this is the technical consideration that we should take into consideration. But we should also keep in mind that the objective, how to have water reuse as solution, it should be totally integrated in the water resource management. We should focus on better water resource management. So when we talk about water reuse, it should be included in the water resource integrated management. Also, it's very important to focus on institutional aspects. And you know that water reuse is mainly characterized by the involvement of several institutions, several departments, and mainly agencies. Even they can be from the government or private sector, or both. And also we know that sanitation and agricultural departments, they are usually involved. So the large number of institutions involving and the complication of the system related to water reuse, what we recommend is this requires the establishment of a sound institutional framework, mainly for coordination among the involved or the concerned agencies or departments. That's why we clear here, we say that there is a stressing need for establishing a multi-institutional committees for coordinating. This is very important to coordinate, to ensure the coordination between the concerned departments, and this will be the institutional framework. Let's see now the other consideration. They are related to legal framework. And our experience that now we know that the appropriate management of water reuse should be under a well-established legal and regulatory framework. Without that, without any regulations, without any laws, or when we have a lack of their enforcement, this could result in serious damage on health and also in economic and environmental natures. So the regulatory framework should consider the purpose of water reuse, where the standards, and here we talk about standards, which is very important, and we should have a clear standards. We have where we can underline the unrestricted and the restricted reuse. So this is the legal aspects that we should take into consideration. Also, economic and financial considerations are also very important. And that's why we suggest that all these kind of economic studies of water reuse projects should be carefully carried out, such as the cost recovery program, for example, for the project of water reuse. Also, the cost effectiveness analysis and the cost benefit analysis also, and the financial feasibility of all these water reuse projects. And we should underline the benefits that may be gained from these reuse projects. This is very important. And we should include also the environmental and economic benefits also. So I stop here for economic and financial consideration. And the last consideration should be, this is very important, the awareness. Our colleagues, they highlighted this issue, and I think awareness, and it's linked also to the training and capacity development, capacity building. But generally, we know that farmers and consumers, they often show a great reluctance to the water reuse, particularly when we are looking at agricultural production. Okay. But where water is scarce, in some country or in some places in arid region, where water is scarce, farmers rely on water reuse. And they may not aware about any health problem that will be caused by these water resources.
Thank you, Faisal. Yeah, okay.
That's why awareness campaigns and programs.
Faisal, I'm afraid we should be concluding.
Yes, this is the last.
Okay.
Yeah, the last idea. That's why we recommend awareness campaigns and programs that should be concluded to achieve, let's say, 2 objectives. That's it: to educate and orient farmers, and to inform the consumers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, this has been a very interesting discussion. We are a little bit behind time. I don't know if we have a short time for a final wrap-up. Yeah, I would like to ask you, just as a conclusion of this round table, just a final takeaway message. 1-2 sentences, very brief, because we are a bit late. Just to conclude, what would you say first?
I mean, I will take just 10 seconds. I think we discussed extensively the topic, and I think it's very clear that this will be a process which will need the involvement of all types of stakeholders, from scientists to farmers to the people who will consume at one point food produced with water reuse. And of course, I mean, those who, since we are working also on policy and institutional and regulatory frameworks, we will need to expand this process to all the stakeholders needed.
Good. Thank you, Marco. Thank you for being brief. Carmen, also very short message to take away from our audience.
Okay, in addition to awareness and again to get involved also retailers, they are very important in this chain. I will highlight as well the need for a clear investment strategy and for making water reuse possible.
Thank you. Adriano, what will be your final words to conclude?
So, a fast consideration. We were used to operate in a relative stable environment. Now we are facing continuously fast changing in between extreme opposites. So we must be flexible in the production chain, flexible in the trading system, flexible in the pattern of consuming food and every kind of agricultural products, because I would say that water use or water scarcity is not a challenge for agriculture, but is a collective effort for the society as a whole. Everybody has to undertake his own responsibility to face this drama.
Thank you very much, Adriano. Faisal, what would you say in a few words to conclude this roundtable?
Yes, thank you. Just to say that there is an urgent need to support smallholders in adapting to climate change by using by the water reuse projects, and by using water reuse, we can overcome all the mentioned barriers caused by climate change within in the countries with water scarcity. They are characterized by water scarcity. Over to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So I want to thank you, all of you, for this interesting discussion. It has been very fruitful. You have raised many points showing the complexity of water reuse. You raised aspects related to technology, like low cost, and the need of low cost and decentralized solutions, aspects related to social acceptance, governance and water resource management, risk sharing. All these questions remain somehow open. I'm sure we will put some more light in the next sessions of the event. And yes, a big applause and thanks a lot. We are now, please, big applause for this expert. Yeah, we are now going to a deserved coffee break, and I will be back at 4 p.m. So thank you very much, and we continue with the session. Bye.
What are the possible solutions for this challenge? The Mediterranean region is characterized by limited and irregular availability of water resources. Agriculture is still by far the greatest user of water in the Mediterranean basin, accounting for more than 80% of the total consumption. Climate change and drought events, in a context where water consumption in some places already exceeds the depletion of renewable water resources, will make the region even more vulnerable in the near future. The project FIT4REUSE aims at providing safe, sustainable and accepted ways of water supply for the Mediterranean basin by exploiting non-conventional water resources through innovative treatment technologies on the use of treated wastewater and desalinated water in agriculture and for aquifer recharge, adapted to the Mediterranean context and fulfilling legislative frame and market demands. Reclaimed water and desalinated water contribute to compensate the gap between agricultural water demand and supply and provide consistently high-quality water throughout the year. FIT4REUSE technologies are developed in cooperation with stakeholders of the Mediterranean region and target practitioners, public administration, constructing companies and water operators through a concise business model, providing guidelines for practitioners and performing a holistic assessment of the use of non-conventional water resources to improve its public and legal acceptance. The project Fit for Reuse is part of the PRIMA program, supported under Horizon 2020, the European Union's framework for research and innovation. It counts on 9 partners across 7 Mediterranean countries, consisting of universities, governmental organizations, water utilities and SMEs. Particularly, the project concentrates on the development of innovative, sustainable and competitive technologies for municipal wastewater treatment, desalination and brine treatment and disposal, simulation platform, irrigation, The goal of the pilot plant in Granarolo dell'Emilia, Italy, is to optimize and enhance nature-based solutions for domestic wastewater treatment in order to produce an effluent that is suitable for reuse in agricultural irrigation. The pilot plant is located in a small municipality of the metropolitan city of Bologna, and it is intended for the secondary treatment of domestic wastewater through constructed wetland technology. It consists of 12 systems in total, 6 vertical flow constructed wetlands planted with Phragmites australis and 6 horizontal flow constructed wetlands planted with Iris pseudochorus. These systems will test contribution of different substrates to the treatment performance, also through their combination in series. Besides, researchers from the University of Bologna will test other operational parameters such as the effect of aeration, hydraulic loading rate and hydraulic retention time on the removal efficiencies of different contaminants present in wastewater. The pilot plant is fully automized and it will therefore allow a more complex monitoring, considerably increase reliability of results and reduce error probability. The objective of the Greek pilot plant is to produce reclaimed water suitable for irrigation, European Class B or even better, by combining innovative nature-based solutions with nanotechnology. The pilot plant is located in the decentralized municipality of Antissa on the island of Lesbos. It consists of a vertical downflow bioelectrified wetland followed by a conventional sand filter, a novel nano-zero-valent iron column and an ultraviolet unit. The bioelectrified wetland is an innovative solution for wastewater treatment that combines the advantages of microbial electrochemical technology with those of constructed wetlands, thus providing a number of benefits such as significantly lower land requirements and the potential for energy harvesting. The novelty is that the materials commonly used for wetland construction, such as gravel and sand, are replaced by electrically conductive materials such as coke, graphite and biochar that host electroactive bacteria. Accordingly, nano-zero-valent iron is a powerful reagent with high efficiency for a wide spectrum of contaminants, both organic and inorganic. Its versatility is due to the fact that it can remove or immobilize the contaminants through various mechanisms, such as reduction, adsorption, or even oxidation through Fenton-type reactions. The integrated system has been set in operation and is routinely monitored in order to achieve optimum conditions, thus supporting the production of reclaimed water suitable for irrigation purposes. Low-cost and energy-saving experimental wastewater treatment pilots have been designed and implemented separately or as integrated systems in relevant environment and run with real wastewater at relatively high flows. The pilot plant, using nature-based solutions as vertical and horizontal constructed wetlands for wastewater treatment, is located in Wastewater Plant Treatment El Menza. Additional technologies will be combined and integrated in order to enhance the removal of pharmaceuticals, emerging pollutants and pathogens, and to recover nutrients and energy. Fixed bed adsorption using various inexpensive and natural adsorbents, clay, olive seed, date seed and perlite will be added before the discharge of wastewater in order to enhance the removal of pharmaceuticals and emerging pollutants, for example, bisphenol A and diclofenac. Ozone and UV irradiation technologies to remove pathogenic bacteria will also be assessed. A collection of plant growth promoting PGP bacteria was selected and will be integrated with constructed wetlands to remove micropollutants, diclofenac, bisphenol A. The upflow anaerobic sludge blanket pilot, an anaerobic process for intensive wastewater treatment, is installed in wastewater treatment plant Shotrana. It is designed to be tested and started up with static biofilter as a pre-treatment stage for total suspended solids and chemical oxygen demand removal. It contains 2 tanks as conditioning tank and UASB reactor assembled as a closed-loop system. The reactor is equipped with an electric heating system to adjust the anaerobic tank at the desired temperature. The treated wastewater is tested for field irrigation, and preliminary results showed that plant growth was comparable to that attained when drinking water was used without any noticeable adverse effect on the plants or the soil. The integrated pilot system, combining intensive and nature-based solutions for wastewater treatment, is located in Imola. The pilot activities will be performed on an existing experimental platform recently built within an Italian national project. In this way, the platform will also be exploited for additional and specific studies related to the FIT4REUSE objectives. It can test different combinations of upflow anaerobic sludge blanket, anaerobic membrane bioreactor, molecularly imprinted polymers, single or hybrid constructed wetlands, and ultraviolet disinfection unit. These combinations will be used for treatment of real domestic wastewater with an occasional discharge of industrial effluent, and will aim to produce effluent that has a quality needed for irrigation of agricultural crops. Moreover, combining intensive and nature-based solutions is expected to reduce treatment costs, improve removal efficiencies, and make wastewater treatment process more sustainable. Upflow anaerobic sludge blanket can use organic matter to produce biogas, while constructed wetlands are low-cost technology able to further treat wastewater with low energy input. The pilot plant has a central control unit, also accessible through an online platform, allowing everyday operation and monitoring of its functions. For example, flow rates, biogas production, and other operative parameters can be constantly monitored. Two pilot systems are operated by Mekorot at the Lahat brackish water desalination reverse osmosis plant within FIT4REUSE. The Lahat plant receives water from 24 different brackish water wells and is a part of a national rehabilitation project of the Israel's coastal aquifer. The plant includes pre-treatment stage of coarse and cartridge filtration, followed by 2 stages of reverse osmosis desalination. The pre-treatment design was done with the goal to preserve the reverse osmosis membranes and to prevent or slow down deposition of colloidal, organic and biological matter at the front of the pressure vessels. The general objective of both pilots is to improve the reverse osmosis pre-treatment in an attempt to enhance the treatment performance, thus decrease energy and chemical consumption. Both pilots are monitored online, as well as daily by field measurements and periodically by lab sampling. The first pilot, Micronic Cartridge Filters pilot skid, is used to investigate different cartridge technologies. The pilot consists of 2 identical branches that are operated in parallel. Each branch includes a cartridge filter followed by a reverse osmosis membrane. The objective is to characterize various innovative cartridge filters in order to find the best one for the Lahat plant. The second pilot, reverse osmosis desalination pilot plant, is used to investigate the fouling reduction device technology. The pilot includes cartridge pre-treatment followed by 2 stages of reverse osmosis desalination, simulating the commercial plant. 3 fouling reduction devices are installed externally to the piping prior to the cartridge filtration or reverse osmosis stages. The fouling reduction devices transmit an electric field into the pipe and the water, with the objective to improve flocculation capability as well as prevent precipitation of salts, organic and/or inorganic material and bacteria. The desalination pilot plant is located at Isbat. It consists of an innovative desalination system combining nanofiltration and reverse osmosis. The pre-treatment module includes a 5, 10 and 20 micron cartridge filters, activated carbon column and injection of anti-scalant to remove impurities and prevent clogging. The hybrid system nanofiltration and reverse osmosis is expected to reduce energy requirements and improves the recovery rate of desalinated water. The brine was used to irrigate medicinal halophytes, salt-resistant plants. This will not only reduce the negative effect on the environment, but also contribute as an additional economic income to the system. Also, solar energy was considered to cover the energy needs of the desalination pilot. The amount of 30-35 kilowatts daily produced was found enough to operate the hybrid system membrane unit. FIT4REUSE simulation platform was designed to simulate simplified models of the FIT4REUSE solutions as a tool mainly for decision-making, suitable to simulate different scenarios for different cases. It enables users to perform dynamic simulations of nature-based and intensive resource recovery solutions regarding the choice of treatment options for different locations and wastewater sources around the Mediterranean region. The platform is capable of simulating single units as well as treatment trains with the innovative solutions of FIT4REUSE. It can be applied to continuously operated units with fluctuating pollutant inputs. The platform is also capable of calculating the reclaimed water quality, the energy costs and carbon emissions of each unit along the total system configuration, and therefore it is a powerful tool for possible energy savings and for preventing excessive carbon emission impacts. The Ruro demonstration platform is dedicated to water reclamation and reuse for agricultural crops irrigation. The objective of the platform is to test and to validate solutions for water reuse in rural conditions, for domestic wastewater treatment plant with limited flow and load capacities. The platform is located in Saint-Jean-de-Corny, a town with a population of 1,000 people near Montpellier on the Mediterranean coast of France. Sanitary, environmental and agronomic risks related to water reuse, such as micropollutants or salinity issues, need to be quantified, managed and controlled. Also, the benefits related to water reuse need to be demonstrated and quantified on the field. In FIT4REUSE, different types of flushing methods for drippers and different storage conditions are tested before irrigation of tomatoes and salads in controlled conditions. The tests carried out focus on irrigation management, aiming at answering the questions about the benefits of water reuse in terms of fertilization, how to deal with water quality evolution in open storage, and what are the best on-field solutions to limit drippers clogging. Thanks to FIT4REUSE project, different treatment solutions are being developed and tested in the consortium countries. Application of treated non-conventional water resources for irrigation is being assessed, and relevant stakeholders are being consulted and involved in order to get the most relevant results. Also, regulatory and social aspects are being taken into careful consideration, as the applicable legislation and the public acceptance are crucial aspects of water reuse. Actions and results of FIT4REUSE will contribute to the challenge of closing the gap between water needs and water availability, one of the main issues of our times. Join our cause. Help us reuse to reduce.
Welcome back after our coffee break. Welcome back also attendees from home online. Thanks again for the panel session, the roundtable before the coffee break. We will try now to start answering some of the questions that arose from our panelists in the previous section. So now is the time for my presentation. This is a general presentation of the project, but almost above all, I would like to highlight the 3 pillars in which the Fit4Reuse project has been divided, organized, and you will see the presentation, as I said at the beginning of this event, this afternoon, tomorrow morning, and tomorrow afternoon. So, okay, good. The project Fit4Reuse is, as you know now, is addressed to the safe use of non-conventional water resources in agriculture in the Mediterranean context. This means that we started from a key point, the water requirement, as we also Adriano Battilani said before, the water requirement for agriculture are increasing. This means that this water requirement increasing is due to also climate change, but we have to also supply the right food that is also increase the food needs. From this circle, from this statement at the beginning of our proposal, we understood that we had to work on the use of non-conventional water resources for agriculture, for irrigation purposes. These non-conventional water resources means for us treated wastewater mainly, but also, sorry, something is happening in the presentation here. I don't know if online is good or not, because we have something is not in the well shape, the presentation. But in any case, the Fit4Reuse consortium is made of 9 partners from 7 Mediterranean countries. We have partners from Italy, from Spain, from France, from Tunisia, from Greece, from Israel, and from Turkey. All the partners are here. You can see in the slide the name of the partners. And this consortium has worked in the past 3.5 years on a general concept that is the reason at the base of the Fit4Reuse project. The Fit4Reuse project started working on these 2 non-conventional water resources, treated wastewater as well as the salted water, and try to divide the interest and the research and the application of our work within these 2 main non-conventional water in 3 main pillars, with the aim, with the main goal to achieve innovation in treatment technology mainly, to achieve safe application of these non-conventional water resources in agriculture, in simulated or real relevant environment, and with the main goal to achieve a clear, holistic assessment of the use of these non-conventional water resources. So to do this, within the Fit4Reuse project, we were able, first of all, to develop and build several pilot plants. So plants where all the innovation have been developed and tested at pilot scale. You will see that we will have really about 15 or 16 pilot systems that have been developed in all the countries involved in the Fit4Reuse consortium, and this was the basis for our research. Then we would like to achieve the possibility to replicate what we have developed and the results of what we have found at our pilot scale activities. To do this, we developed a simulation platform that you will see later in our presentation. This simulation platform is able to combine and simulate the performance of all the developed solution we have tested at pilot scale. So this is a very powerful tool for replication of these results in other contexts, in other countries, with the same problems and issues. Then we tried and we are able to apply the treated wastewater or the desalted water, the non-conventional water we have studied, in real application case study. So we built some irrigation trials by using the non-conventional water we studied, and we studied there the effects of this non-conventional water on crops, soil, but also on irrigation materials. Then we developed a methodology to build and produce what is said the water reuse safety risk management plan, according to the new European regulation on wastewater reuse for irrigation in agriculture. This methodologies was developed within the FIT4REUSE project, and as you will see tomorrow afternoon, it is already been tested in real case study in Italy. And then we also want to develop an holistic assessment of all the solution we developed, and also not only on the technological and innovation part, but also related to the social, economic assessment, with a main goal to increase the social acceptance of the use of unconventional water resources. This was done by building a multi-stakeholder and multi-level platform where we were able to engage several relevant stakeholders, including also singular citizens, in all the countries where FIT4REUSE project was developed. And these are the main aspects that we developed within the FIT4REUSE project, and all these aspects have been grouped in three main pillars. Today, we will see the pillars number one. The pillars number one was addressed to the innovation, to the treatment solution, to the desalination solution, able to achieve the result of the quality of water to be used in agriculture, but also was able to achieve this result with less cost and in a safer manner. And we will see this today. Tomorrow, we will see the pillar number two, addressed to the application of the non-conventional water in agriculture. And tomorrow afternoon, the pillar number three, where the assessment, regulation, and the public acceptance increase is the main goal. So here you can see some few pictures, a slide related to the work you will see in detail just after my presentation related to pillar number one. So it is an example of the pilot activities, the pilot plan that was built and used during our research activity, as well as a picture of the simulation platform, so pillar number one. And here you can see both the irrigation schemes used for the testing of application of treated wastewater in France and in Italy, as well as the methodological concept for the water reuse risks safety planning. And then something about the pillar number three that you will see tomorrow afternoon related to this new innovative approach for the holistic assessment of all of this. So I hope that now you will enjoy the presentation related to the results. So you can see here also our social media for sharing our results. Please follow us and join us, even beyond the end of the project. And I leave the stage, the floor to Tadej from National Technical University of Athens. There is a little change in the agenda. We have to say hello to Alessia Foglia, that is an agenda that is unfortunately sick at home. So please, today, start to moderate this session. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. A quick sound test. It's fine with the microphones. Fantastic. All right. Attilio already mentioned, and I apologize to anyone expecting Alessia up here on the podium. But I would like to take opportunity to really thank her for the excellent job that she's done for Fit4Use project, and also for recent promotion. She became assistant professor, so thank you for everything, Alessia. So my name is Tadej Stepišnik-Perdih, and I'm a EU-funded project manager at National Technical University of Athens, one of the project partners of Fit4Use, and it's a pleasure to moderate this session on Pillar 1. As Attilio already mentioned, it's a technology development focused pillar. When it comes to workload and effort, probably the biggest pillar of Fit4Use project. We have very, very packed agenda. We will have a keynote speech, we will have 2 video messages, and we will have 5 presentations on the results, main achievements of Pillar 1 of Fit4Use. So everyone keep the time. So Fit4Use Pillar 1 project, we were developing innovative solutions, basically how to, let's call it, produce water that's suitable for use in agriculture. It is focusing on municipal wastewater treatment and desalination, and you will hear all about those in the next couple of hours. So let's get to it, and let's start with first keynote speech. With us, maybe just before, a couple of housekeeping notes in case anyone will want to ask questions. We would like you to ask questions, but we will not address them after every presentation, but please put a note for whom it is, because there will be at the end a wider question and answers discussion session, and we'll be happy to address all the questions after. So as I briefly mentioned, the first keynote speech will come from Luigi Rizzo. Do we have him online? Perhaps he's unfortunately, so we don't have him online yet. Perhaps we will wait for 30 seconds in case we manage to connect. So I'll use it for presentation of him. Luigi comes from University of Salerno, from Italy, and he's an expert in tertiary treatment for municipal wastewater. Quickly checking if we have Luigi. All right, fantastic. So unfortunately, he's not with us, but the virtual stage is his.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, Luigi, we hear you, so please go ahead. Yes, Luigi, can you hear us as well?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I cannot share the screen. Maybe you have to authorize me.
Let our technical team quickly check. They will put it on, indeed.
Yeah, okay, right now works. Okay.
All right, screen came up. All right, the presentation is on. Luigi, you can start.
Okay, thank you for your kind introduction. I would like to thank also Professor Attilio Toscano for inviting me for this talk. Unfortunately, I cannot attend personally because I'm affected by COVID right now. And I would also like to thank the organizing committee for supporting me in this presentation. So my talk is related to the tertiary treatment of urban wastewater. I will introduce briefly some results from our PRIMA project named DISWAP about the solar Fenton process. So this is the framework of my presentation. I will briefly introduce the main challenges in tertiary treatment of urban wastewater. I will also spend some words about the new EU regulation on wastewater reuse. Then I will introduce the state-of-the-art of tertiary treatment of urban wastewater. And in particular, I will talk about solar Fenton, which is the process that we have been investigating in this project. And finally, I will introduce some results from our project. So as I told, the main challenges in tertiary treatment of urban wastewater are different. For sure, one of the main challenges is disinfection and disinfection byproducts. So in order to reuse wastewater, one of the more stringent limits are related to pathogens inactivation. And so disinfection byproducts should be really effective in order to make the effluents in compliance with such limits. For example, according to the new European regulation, the limit for E. coli is really stringent for Class A water, which is the 10 colony-form unit per 100 milliliter. So chemical disinfection can also result in toxic and sometimes regulated disinfection byproducts. For instance, in Italy, the regulation for wastewater reuse set a limits on the chlorination byproducts, namely trihalometanes. The limit is the same for drinking water. So this means that in Italy it's really hard to use chlorination as a disinfection process when we reuse wastewater. So another challenge, a really important challenge, in particular in the last years, in tertiary treatment of urban wastewater is related to the contaminants, the so-called contaminants of emerging concern, including different compounds such as pharmaceutical, pesticides, personal care products, and so on, that despite they occur at really low concentration in wastewater in the range between a nanogram per liter to a few microgram per liters, they are suspected of adverse effects on human health and on the environment. But unfortunately, these pollutants are not effectively removed by conventional processes in urban wastewater treatment plants. And so they are released almost unaffected in the effluent. However, there is an increasing concern about these contaminants. And for example, Switzerland has a regulation about the removal of such pollutants from urban wastewater. And the European Union also is moving in such direction with the watch list and even including such pollutants in the new regulation on wastewater reuse. Other concerns are related, for example, to antibiotic resistance, because wastewater treatment plants are among the main hotspots for the release of antibiotic-resistant determinants, including antibiotics, antibiotic-resistant bacteria, and antibiotic-resistant genes. So due to concern to these pollutants, some of these pollutants are also included in the watch list, in the European watch list, and should be also taken into account when preparing the risk management plan for wastewater reuse. Other pollutants are microplastics, and also they are included in the urban wastewater. And actually, these pollutants can be quite well effectively removed by conventional separation processes. So I briefly introduced the EU wastewater reuse regulation and the table, and this table is really important because set the main limits for E. coli, BOD5, total suspended solids, and turbidity for different reclaimed water quality class. So as you can see, for the top class, the A class, the limit for E. coli is really stringent, so below 10 colony-form unit per 100 milliliter. However, another challenging issue in the new regulation for wastewater reuse is this table you can see in the slide, which is the table for validation monitoring of reclaimed water for agricultural irrigation. Basically, new wastewater treatment plant or existing wastewater treatment plant that are upgraded for improving the quality have to meet such requirements. So have to meet such requirements that, as you can see, are really, really stringent. For example, for E. coli, the new wastewater treatment plant have to show the compliance with a removal of more than 5 log units. And also you can see other limits for total coliphages and Clostridium perfringens. So what is important in the new regulation, European regulation for wastewater reuse, is for sure the introduction of the risk management plan for wastewater reuse. And so in this case, the reclamation facility operator and other responsible parties and then users are called to finalize a risk management plan. When finalized this plan, according to Annex 2 of the new regulation, they should also consider other pollutants in addition to those one included in table 2 that I showed you before. And these other pollutants that should be taken into account are listed here. Among these, as you can see, also contaminants of emerging concern and antibiotic resistance determinants. So this is, that you can see here is a typical scheme for urban wastewater treatment plant. In particular, after the biological process, we have tertiary treatment also including disinfection, and tertiary treatment can also include other treatments such as filtration, activated carbon adsorption, ozonation, UV disinfection, and chemical disinfection. Unfortunately, among this treatment, they are not so effective in the removal of most of the challenging that I showed you before. For example, conventional sand filtration is designed for the removal of suspended solids, so it is not effective at all in the removing contaminants of emerging concern, nor in the disinfection of wastewater. Activated carbon adsorption is really effective in the removal of contaminants of emerging concern, and is used in Switzerland and in Germany for this purpose, but is poorly effective as a disinfection process. So if we have to reuse wastewater, we have to couple adsorption on activated carbon to a disinfection process. Ozone treatment is also among the best available technologies for the removal of contaminants of emerging concern, and it also used in Switzerland and Germany. But unfortunately, this process forms toxic disinfection byproducts, so a post-treatment is needed. UV disinfection, we know, is really effective in the disinfection of wastewater, does not result in the formation of toxic disinfection byproducts, but is poorly or not effective at all in the removal of contaminants of emerging concern. Conventional chemical disinfection processes such as chlorination, for example, is effective in wastewater disinfection, but unfortunately result in the formation of toxic disinfection byproducts such as trianomethanes and alloacetic acids, and is not effective in the removal of most of contaminants of emerging concern. A new disinfection process that is recently used in different wastewater treatment plants to replace chlorination is peracetic acid disinfection. This is effective as a disinfection, does not result in the formation of known or regulated disinfection byproducts, but is also poorly effective in the removal of contaminants of emerging concern. Therefore, in the last years, different processes have been investigated as alternative to this conventional tertiary treatment. Among these, photo-drive and advanced oxidation processes have been extensively investigated, with good results in terms of disinfection and removal of contaminants of emerging concern. This process relies on the formation of radical species that can be removed effectively contaminants of emerging concern, as well as to inactivate pathogens. Despite they do not form known or regulated disinfection byproducts, they can form toxic intermediate products. Therefore, toxicity should be checked during the process. Moreover, among these, one of the most effective processes is the Fenton and photo-Fenton process, and this is a really attractive option for small wastewater treatment plant because UV radiation can be replaced by solar radiation, thus resulting in really interesting results in for tertiary treatment of urban wastewater. However, Fenton and photo-Fenton is typically effective under acidic pH, and which is a problem because urban wastewater, the pH is neutral, as we know, and the neutral pH will result on the precipitation of iron because Fenton reaction results from the reaction between iron and hydrogen peroxide, so dissolved iron. So for neutral pH, iron precipitates, and this is no longer available for the formation of hydroxyl radicals. In the last years, a new approach has been investigated, which is the use of so-called chelating agents that can form complexes with iron, thus making the process effective even at the neutral pH. And this is the approach that we follow within the SWAP project, decision support-based approach for sustainable water reuse application in agricultural production, funded by PRIMA agency. The main goal of the project is to develop a modular, cost and energy efficient wastewater treatment system specifically designed for wastewater reused in the context of crops irrigation. It is a multidisciplinary consortium involved in this process, which includes 10 beneficiary partners, among which 7 university research centers and 3 private industrial enterprises from 7 countries, Israel, Cyprus, Germany, Italy, France, and Portugal, and including different background and expertise such as environmental engineering, chemistry, microbiology, molecular biology, plant physiology, and risk assessment. So the project was funded with a budget of 2 million euros and this year. So in these 2 last slides, I will show you some results from our project. So we investigated the solar photophantom process, even in combination with the sunlight hydrogen peroxide, because from the scientific literature, sunlight hydrogen peroxide was also found more effective in the pathogen inactivation compared to solar photophantom. So the idea is to combine the 2 systems working first for half hour with the sunlight hydrogen peroxide. Then by adding iron, we can move the process to solar photophantom. In these slides, you can see 2 processes we compared. One where we used a consolidated chelating agents, EDDS, in the figure on the left. So you can see that when we spiked the 3 contaminants of emerging concern, the sunlight hydrogen peroxide was not so effective, but solar photophantom was quite effective in the degradation of these target pollutants. From the other side, we investigate another chelating agents, IDS. It is a new chelating agent because EDDS is quite expensive. So in this case, we can see that the process was less effective, but quite surprisingly, if we look at these 2 pictures where we investigate the same process in the inactivation of the target organisms that are included in the new European regulation for wastewater use, namely E. coli, Clostridium perfringens, and coliphages, you can see that actually the process with IDS was more effective than the process with EDDS. Actually, we explain this process because the chelating agents, IDS is more stable. And so, unlike of EDDS, the chelating agents is fastly degraded in EDDS process by the advanced oxidation processes, which result in an increased turbidity and a lower efficiency in terms of disinfection. On the opposite, IDS is more stable, the chelating agents is degraded in a longer time, which make the process more effective in terms of disinfection performance. So this is the acknowledgements for the colleagues that contribute to our work in Salerno and the colleagues from University of Cyprus with my colleague Despo Fatta-Cassinos, which provide some slides of the project, SWAP project here. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Luigi, for this presentation, for outlining the regulation sphere and also presenting the state-of-the-art technologies, especially solar photophantom. Thank you, Luigi. We will hear more about stakeholder engagement tomorrow, but it is on all aspects of the project very important for us to hear what potential users of our technologies actually think about the project. So we will continue with 2 video messages. from our stakeholders from the ground. First video message will be from Israel, from Sharon Sasson, who's the CEO of Pro Beauty cosmetic company, and he's using the photobioreactor technique, which is also tested in FIT4REUSE project. And immediately after Sharon, we will hear the video message by Georgia Stefanakou from Athens Water Supply Company, which is the biggest water supply company in Greece, and she will offer her view on water use. Let us see the video messages, please.
Hello,
thank you.
My name is Sharon Sasson, the CEO of Pro Beauty Cosmetics. Industrial gases bear negative effect either directly through NOx and SOx emissions that negatively affect human health and indirectly through greenhouse gas emission that motivated global climate changes. Photosynthetic microorganisms such as algae and cyanobacteria are capable of assimilating both hazardous gas and carbon dioxide in a simple and cost-effective manner. The simple, innovative tubular BPR, which you see here, is the fourth R&D stage of system capable of assimilating nutrients from both aquatic and gas phases, which enable stimulants treatment aquatic and gases industrial effluents. Aquatic effluent enters from the top and gas is introduced from its lower part and flows out from its top. In between, the water is flowing over and through subvertical mats that are the habitat for the photosynthetic biomass that is accumulated in the siphon below the reactor. By using a red and blue light red array, we can maximize the photosynthesis process. The water can be re-entering the BPR in a closed recycling system. A biomass produced has a commercial value, depend on the type of treated material. A dirty matrix will produce biomass suitable for energy production or fertilizers, with revenue of a few dollars per kilogram. And a very clean matrix may produce biomass suitable for food and pharma industries, with revenue as high as hundreds of dollars per kilogram. In the previous generation that you can see behind me is a type of a greenhouse BPR, which the LED light supplemented sunlight. Such a system was used in a project that has just finished. This project with Mekorot was aimed to reduce nitrogen concentration and in distillation bearing. The new BPR, if compared to a greenhouse type BPR or other existing BPR, is suitable for application in industrial environment with much higher area utilization output ratio. Our vision is to deliver a cluster of BPR assembled in 40-feet container that will replace industrial chimney either on land or in the sea installed on ships, which can assimilate hazards and greenhouse gases into algae biomass bearing a commercial value. The new approach may be regarded as an interactive pollution prevention and control system, or as we wish to market it, as a bio-IPPC system. This project was already supported by the Israeli Innovation Authority for water repolishing application, and it's now pending an Israeli Ministry of Energy grant for carbon dioxide assimilation. Thank you for listening. I hope it will contribute our mission to reduce greenhouse gases emission worldwide. Hello.
My name is Georgia Stefanakou. I am the Executive Director of Major Projects of Athens Water Supply and Sewerage Company, AWSA. I would like to thank the coordinators of FIT4REUSE, the National Technical University of Athens, and Dr. Simos Malamis for the invitation to speak at the Water Reuse Day. It's a special pleasure for me to participate in the events of the project FIT4REUSE. In the framework of this very interesting event, I'm taking the opportunity to briefly present to you our company ADAP and our projects concerning the new wastewater treatment plants of Eastern Attica and our plans for water reuse. ADAP SA is the largest company in Greece in the water supply, sewerage and wastewater treatment sector. We cover the needs in drinking water and wastewater services for 4 million people. These are residents of Attica Prefecture and the Greater Athens metropolitan area, which are more than 40% of the population of Greece. In the wastewater treatment sector, ADAP, as a pioneer in environmental protection in Greece, has designed, implemented, and operates a high-technology treatment system composed of 3 major wastewater treatment plants serving the Greater Athens metropolitan area, the Psyttalia plant, the Metamorphosis plant, and the Thriasio wastewater treatment plant. In the region of Eastern Attica, we have 2 new major wastewater projects under implementation, co-financed by the EU Cohesion Fund. The Rafina Spata and Artemida agglomerations project and the Marathon agglomeration project. Also, a 3rd wastewater scheme, Koropi Peania wastewater treatment plant, the construction of which is almost completed, will be soon operated by ADAP. These 3 projects were designed to produce reclaimed water that complies with the national standards of unlimited irrigation, urban reuse and aquifer recharge in order to restore the water quality of groundwater bodies. The design of these projects came as a result of the stress the region of Eastern Attica faces on its water supply, caused mainly by agricultural activities and tourism in summer. Considering imperative of the Eastern Attica region to integrate water reuse in the design of its water resources management plan, we proceeded with the implementation of a water reuse master plan for this region. The scope of the master plan was to identify the areas and the ways in which the reuse of reclaimed water can be carried out. Through this master plan, the areas on which irrigation with reclaimed water can be applied for agricultural reason or use, urban and suburban parks were determined. Also, the groundwater aquifers were identified available for artificial recharge. The total area in which is possible to irrigate using treated effluents from the 3 new wastewater treatment plants of Eastern Attica during Phase A, covering the next 20 years of their operation, is estimated to about 2,800 hectares of agricultural land. The big challenge that ADAP faces is achieving acceptance from the reclaimed water users, especially farmers and agricultural collaborations, as well as the sensitization of residents to become familiar with the benefits of reuse. Under this spirit, a pilot project was undertaken by ADAP in cooperation with Athens Agricultural University for the irrigation of vine and olive crops in Spata area with tertiary treated effluents from wastewater treatment plant. The recently completed project concluded that water reuse for irrigation of these crops, which are the main crops in Eastern Attica, is safe and recommended with no indication for long-term use. We have also foreseen environmental education infrastructure within the Rafina Spata wastewater treatment plant that will be a pole of attraction for visitors, environmental events, and new research programs on reclaimed water reuse. We strongly believe that this will help with the familiarization of residents and farmers with the high quality of the reclaimed water and its uses. Before my close-up, I would like to underline that Athens Water Supply and Sewerage Company, ADAP SA, applauds to the progress achieved through the FIT4REUSE project and closely follows its results. Demonstrations in 5 different countries on both sides of the Mediterranean proved that reclaimed water can be safely applied in agriculture. We still have a long way ahead of us, providing sufficient water for farmers during droughts. But FIT4REUSE is here to offer great knowledge base for solution tackling water scarcity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you also for both messages. They don't hear us, but you can applaud if you want, of course. Perhaps they follow, perhaps they're watching the stream. Great. So before everyone gets way too comfortable sitting and only listening, we will shake things up a little bit. So I invite everyone to pull out their phones, both people in the audience here and also online, because we will have a short quiz, which will be done through Slido. So everyone, or for people who haven't used Slido before, yeah, thank you for keeping this slide, please. You scan the code, the QR code with your phone, and it will take you directly to the quiz. Or else, you can also use the slido.com and you use the code #261, where you're prompted and you will be redirected to the quiz. I give everyone 20 seconds more to connect. And then we have short two questions, and I'm curious how water experts will answer. I can see that most of the people connected, here in the crowd at least. Some people in the back didn't pull their phones out, but okay. So I suggest that we proceed with the first question. So which is the percentage of urban wastewater treatment plants with advanced tertiary treatment in the European Union? I hope you see the questions. Thank you for magnifying. Think hard. Let us wait for a couple of more replies. But don't Google, so we will not wait for too much. All right, 3 seconds more. You have time before we will close the voting. And before we show the results, I would like to see how people voted. Can we see the votes? All right, so most of the people voted for around 40%. Before I reveal the correct answer, let me say that according to the European Environmental Agency, in 2007, it was around 20%. So the latest data that we have is for 2018, and most of the people were correct. Please show the results. So it is around 41% of the wastewater treatment plants that are equipped with tertiary treatment. Perhaps as an interesting note, most of those treatments are sand filtration and microfiltration treatments. All right, this was a successful question. Let's see if you can get the second one. So please, if you can proceed to the second question, which is, how much desalinated water is produced every day worldwide? Again, we keep around a minute of time. This is not easy to Google, so the options are 3,000 cubic meters, 200,000 cubic meters, 95 million cubic meters, or 700 million cubic meters. Some more time to... I'm not sure if actually anyone submitted the vote yet, which means that everyone is actually searching online. This takes too long. Go wild. All right, when Sarit will vote, then I will close the poll. The poll was closed, all right. So most of the people guessed 95 million cubic meters. So before revealing the result, again, for 2018, United Nations conducted a study. They reported there are around 16,000 operational desalination plants that produce 95 million cubic meters of desalinated water for human use per day. In addition, let me say that around half of those are, half of this amount is produced in Middle East and Northern Africa. And it is important to note that according to the same study, so global brine production stands at 141.5 million cubic meters. So much, much bigger amount of brine produced for the desalinated water. And this could pose a problem. With these two notes, or with this new information, we will open now the sessions of the results of the Fit4Use project. So I will start with the first 3 speakers of this session. From them, you will learn about solutions for municipal wastewater treatment. And we will begin with a presentation about nature-based solutions. This presentation will be held by Professor Atef Jawani from the Higher Institute of Applied Biological Sciences from University of Tunis El Manara. And while Atef is coming on the floor, I would also like to congratulate him because he, just last week, he received the prestigious Prima Nexus Award for his work that was handed to him during the COP27 in Egypt. So congratulations, Atef. So speakers, don't worry, microphone is on and you have the pointer to change between the slides.
Okay. Hello everybody. So thank you, and let's go to the presentation. So this presentation is focused on the nature-based solution results, which constitute one of the main activities of the Pillar 1 of the project Fit4Use. So we will talk about, these activities in the frame of the work package 2 of the Fit4Use project, and mainly the results obtained in 3 different pilots in Greece, in Italy, and in Tunisia. This work package allowed the presentation of the 3 deliverables, mainly 3 main activities. So the first one is about the design, test, and startup of pilots. The second one is about selected technologies to enhance the treatment. And the third one is the integration of the technologies and the long-term validation of the results. Let's start by the first pilot, which is located in Granarolo dell'Emilia a Bologna in Italy. So it is mainly constituted of vertical and horizontal constructed wetlands with different substrates in horizontal and vertical, with 2 different plant species operated continuously, and sometimes saturated, sometimes no, and with different hydraulic load rates. So at the end of the different experiments, we found the pilot, this first pilot, allowed the main results about the COD removal, total suspended solids removal, which are the main pollutants or parameters to be followed in the system. And the idea is also to maintain some high content of nitrogen and phosphorus, which can be used or recycled in irrigation. So at the end of this first set of experiments, the substrate was chosen as sand for the vertical constructed wetlands and gravel for horizontal ones. Sorry. So the system was then conducted in integrated system horizontal vertical and vertical horizontals. This combination allowed the removal, high removal of COD and medium removal of total nitrogen as expected. The second remark is about the removal of total suspended solids and total phosphorus, which was mainly removed during the first stage of the system. The technology of aeration of these systems was tested, but there is no big difference in the results, so we maintain the system without any further aeration, for energy reason, of course. And this is mainly for the vertical ones, which are unsaturated systems. The second pilot is in Tunisia, and in this set of experiments we were working with different configurations, also vertical and horizontal. We changed also plants, about 2 plants, the substrate gravel with addition of cork or other material in different proportions, and also with unplanted systems. So we had 6 horizontal and 6 vertical systems operated separately. And here are the results, and mainly we can conclude that with mixed substrate, let's say gravel with cork, we have the best results in terms of removal of pollutants. We need about 30 hours to remove maximum of COD. If we want to remove nitrogen, we need a little bit more time, so about 48 hours to achieve the removal of nitrogen. Different additional technologies were developed or tested. Let's say about disinfection using UV and using ozonation. The technology of addition of adsorbents to remove some emerging pollutants, namely bisphenol A and diclofenac. We tested also the addition of what we call plant growth promoting bacteria. A first selection about 12 strains able to grow in presence of emerging pollutants bisphenol A, but we choose to add only 3 strains that showed capacity to remove bisphenol A. Also, the use of photovoltaic panels to give power for the pumps and other devices of the system. So an integrated system composed of vertical flow, constructed wetland, horizontal flow, and UV disinfection was installed with the use of gravel and cork and olive stones as adsorbent for micropollutants. Also, we choose to add these bacteria, the 3 strains of pre-selected bacteria. So we had 4 lines of treatment, of vertical and horizontal, with and without PGPR, with and with disinfection, and with and without olive stones. These are the operating conditions applied. Namely, finally, we find that the addition of PGP enhances the results of removal of pollutants, and we had high level of COD removal, but also for emerging pollutants removal and nitrogen. And this is mainly by indirect effect of PGP. So when we try this bacteria directly to remove nitrogen, we don't find good results, but combine it to the plants, we have some good results. And if we see the plant development in presence of PGP bacteria, we find that in terms of dry biomass, fresh biomass, and length of plants, we have much more growth of these plants in presence of these bacteria, which prove that these bacteria allowed so more activity in the constructed wetlands to remove pollutants. Let's move to the third pilot. So the third pilot is located in Greece, and the main is located in Antissa village in Lesbos Island in Greece. And the main objective, of course, was to remove biodegradable COD, soluble COD, and total nitrogen, to remove part of the total nitrogen, not the total amount of nitrogen. The system was operated for almost 1 year and a half, and different parameters were followed. The innovation here is that the filling material is an electroconductive biofilter.
Please try to close up so that we can follow.
In 1 minute I finish.
Great.
So the innovation here is the use of electroconductive biofilter colonized by electroactive bacteria. And the system was operated in 3 different hydraulic retention times, and mainly the system achieved the target removal efficiencies with high removal of TSS and COD, BOD, and about 10% removal of nitrogen and phosphorus. Moreover, we have 2-log removal of bacteria, and the system was able to remove a huge part of emerging pollutants. So some further work has to be done regarding the reduction of surface requirement, the characterization of microbial communities in wetlands, and the evaluation of performances when we decrease the hydraulic retention time. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Couple USB and anaerobic MBR. With respect to nutrients removal, the system was not able to remove them efficiently, also showing an increase in the concentration of their soluble forms. However, the reclaimed wastewater stream was appropriate for fertigation in terms of nutrients, solids, suspended solids, organic matter, and pathogens. Moreover, the carbon footprint in terms of methane and carbon dioxide showed the primary role of gas purging in the membrane for stripping dissolved methane in the USB effluent. Also, if both direct and indirect emissions are considered, this coupling system could reduce carbon CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide by 70%, 50%, and 100% respectively, compared to conventional activated sludge. Another important issue is the presence of micropollutants in wastewater. The first technology for their elimination is molecularly imprinted polymers by UniVPM partner. These materials have cavities in the polymer matrix with an affinity for a chosen target molecule, which in our case is diclofenac pharmaceutical. As such, they are analogs of natural antibody antigen systems. The material was synthesized through a bulk polymerization, and according to scanning electron microscopy and Bronner-Emmett-Teller surface area analysis, the successful synthesis was confirmed. Molecular imprinted polymers had a higher poly volume and higher surface area than non-imprinted polymers. And also, batch adsorption tests showed the higher affinity to diclofenac compound with an imprinting factor of approximately 2 and a good correlation with Langmuir model. Successively, MIP is used as a filler material in a fixed bed column in tertiary treatment after the anaerobic MBR. Diclofenac compound was spiked in the influent wastewater at a concentration of 0.5 milligrams per liter, and 2 trials made with a different percent of MIPs inside the column, 33% in one case and 100% in the other. Although an early break of the column observed in both cases, the higher breakthrough was a function of the higher amount of molecular imprinted polymers inside the column. Also, the good correlation to Thomas isotherm model and other models highlighted the good selectivity with respect to other contaminants and the good adsorption capacity in real matrix. Here are some photos of the systems, the USB coupled with anaerobic MBR and the MIP's column. And the summary of the UniVPM treatment drain, which includes an optional dynamic filtration with up to 50% removal of TSS, the coupling of USB and anaerobic MBR with high removal of COD, TSS, nutrients release, disinfection, and biogas production, an optional UV disinfection with up to 75% removal of Escherichia of E. coli at a dose of 35 millijoule per square centimeter, and up to 50% removal of diclofenac by MIPs at a contact time of 30 minutes. The effluent wastewater stream complies with Class A quality standard according to the European regulation for water reuse. However, anaerobic processes could not remove nutrients, so our partners from UNIBO developed an ion exchange system, not only for the removal, but also for the recovery of nitrogen and phosphorus. The first step was to select the most promising sorbents through adsorption isotherm batch tests. Geopolymer 13 was selected for nitrogen, while calcinated pyroaurite was selected for phosphorus. Then the sorbents were tested through continuous flow breakthrough tests, and in the last step, an optimization was carried out in terms of empty bed contact time of the adsorption and the desorption step, and the choice of the most appropriate desorbing solution. A fraction desorbing solution with potassium chloride and potassium nitrate for nitrogen, and a solution of sodium hydroxide 2% for phosphorus. The pilot plan is characterized by a high level of automatization, simulating a full-scale application. It consists of a microfiltration unit, the adsorption ion exchange column, several tanks, one volumetric membrane pump, monitoring sensors, one PLC unit, a data logger, electrically operated valves, and one automatic sampler. For nitrogen, the empty bed contact time for the desorption step was 10 minutes and 20 minutes for the desorption step. The adsorption yielded breakpoint was 96%, while the operating capacity was 8.42 milligram nitrogen per gram of dry adsorbent. The fraction desorption achieved high separation of nitrogen, while the material was stable for 7 repeated breakthrough tests. For phosphorus, the empty bed contact time of the adsorption step was 5 minutes and 10 minutes for the desorption step. The adsorption yielded breakpoint was also very high, and the operating capacity was 7.6 milligram phosphorus per gram of dry adsorbent. The material was stable for 5 repeated cycles, and when the process scaled up from a lab-scale plant with a bed height of 20 centimeters to a pilot plant with a bed height of 62 centimeters, a larger volume could be treated in one cycle. The last technology is nano-zero-valent iron column system by NTUA. NZVI was incorporated into the pores of a strongly acidic cation exchange resin by an environmentally friendly method. According to this method, trivalent iron was adsorbed into the resin and then reduced to the elemental state by the action of polyphenols contained in green tea extracts. The target was to remove selected micropollutants from the endocrine disruptors category and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs group, and selected heavy metals from treated wastewater. The system's flow rate was 26 liters per day, and the contact time was selected to be 2 minutes after a series of tests, which corresponds to an empty bed contact time of 11 minutes. Also, the system includes a persulfate solution with a concentration of 1 millimolarity and a flow rate of 1.2 liters per day. This addition had the aim to generate radicals for oxidation. and pH adjusted to acidic values in the influent matrix and readjusted to alkaline values at the effluent. Under the long-term performance of the system, it was confirmed that it could remove at higher removal rates naproxen and diclofenac and bisphenol A when tertiary treated wastewater used from a conventional aerobic system. And this could be attributed to a synergy of mechanisms like oxidation by radicals, adsorption, and reduction.
Evridiki, I invite you to slowly finish.
Excuse me?
I invite you to slowly finish the presentation.
Okay. Also, the system was evaluated through different wastewater matrices, USB effluent, anaerobic MBR effluent, and the tertiary effluent from the conventional aerobic system. And it was performed better for the tertiary effluent due to lower COD and nutrients, which led to a less competing environment. It also removed heavy metals like hexavalent chromium and arsenic at very high rates, and E. coli at the range of 1 to 3 logs, depending on the influent load. To conclude, anaerobic systems like USB and anaerobic MBR can effectively remove BOD5, COD and TSS while they require low energy. Also, the coupling of anaerobic MBR and USB has lower carbon footprint compared to conventional activated sludge. Ion exchange processes for removal and recovery of nutrients can take place through geopolymer 13 for nitrogen and calcinated pyroiorate for phosphorus. In terms of the new directive for wastewater treatment of the European Union, micropollutants can efficiently be removed by molecular imprinted polymers and nano-zero-violent iron. And also, nano-zero-violent iron is a very promising technology for the removal of selected heavy metals. Thank you.
Thank you, Evridiki. I know as a fact that she could speak whole day about those technologies and that she tried really to squeeze as much information as possible to presentation, but that's that. During the speech, she already mentioned, in fact, that some of the technologies could be coupled with nature-based solutions, and this will be now a presentation actually showing potential coupling of nature-based and intensive solutions in the same treatment train. I invite Francesco Fatone, a professor of chemical engineering, chemical and environmental engineering of the University of Marke, and a vision leadership team member at Water Europe, to close the block of those presentations, please. The pointer is there.
Well, and of course, thanks Attilio for all this coordination, and thanks Stevo very much for the coordination, operational coordination of this very nice project. Finally, it was great to collaborate together. Stevo asked me to be shorter than expected. It will be very difficult, so please tell me when I'm missing 3 minutes. You know, I'm going longer than usual, so just let me know. I told Stevo, not Attilio, please. So, yeah. I wanted to keep the attention alive. That's because it's a bit late. So, yeah, we demonstrated 3 possible integration. And these were carried out in Italy, in Greece, and Tunisia, so as to cover the different areas of the Mediterranean basin. Let's start with the Italian one. This is located in Imola, in a treatment plant that is operated by the local utility ERA, and the plant was actually built by Conforteco. In another project, it was integrated within FIT4REUSE in order to get this synergistic effect of anaerobic system that is highly important, especially in this period of energy crisis, to recover energy for the removal of organic carbon, together with the anaerobic membrane bioreactor to evaluate the possible high-level water use. And then this was followed by different schematics of constituted wetland that were operated by the group of Attilio, of course. So all this was operated for several months, and as you can see, well, the pilot scale was quite relevant. Here you can see the plan, where you will see the first anaerobic reactor that is followed by solid liquid separation by membrane, but also there was the potential of using a tertiary filtration to avoid the energy consumption of the membrane. Then we have a different constructed wetland, vertical flow, horizontal flow, and we were able to test different combinations. And finally, we have the disinfection by UV. So as you can see here, we have results. Actually, what we tested here, the low temperature anaerobic treatment. Actually, the reactor was operating for most of the time below 20 degrees. That was our challenge, because we wanted also to see if we can operate the anaerobic reactor in our climate, in our temperature. And as you can see here, the HRT of the reactor was more or less from 10 to 15 hours. At the beginning, we wanted to go even below this value. And well, the flow rate was quite relevant. We were struggling a bit for the best setup of this reactor in the real environment. And as you can see, the COD is very high. Why? Because this plant is also treating septic tanks. The recycle is going to the end works. So the lesson learned, take-home message is when you have an anaerobic reactor, be careful about the different flows that are going there, about the different recycles. Now we know very well, after several weeks and months of struggling there. And many thanks also to Giuseppe that was struggling manually in the operation of the plant, together with the chair that is also in this room. Well, this is the membrane part. As you can see here, the membrane was a side-stream membrane that was able to achieve, as expected, the Class A quality for water use. So almost complete removal of solids with well, log reduction that was as expected. But well, I think the most important results were coming from the combination of anaerobic and constructed wetland. Why? Because anaerobic treatment at that temperature was only removing around 30% of the COD, so enough to get some reduction of energy footprint, but the combination with the energy-efficient nature-based solution was successful. As you can see here, we have different aeration modes that were tested by the group of Attilio here in Bologna, and the results are quite interesting because thanks to this combination, we were able to achieve very good effluent quality in terms of organic carbon, but also in terms of nutrients. Aeration mode was found to be very relevant, and it's also interesting to see how intermittent aeration can also have a relevant effect on the combined removal and wastewater quality, even to control the possible fertigation, where we might need to have more or less nutrient in the effluent. So here you have more data, but I have to be quick. Slides are available anyway. And finally, the combination of these systems. If we combine anaerobic system for the energy-efficient energy recovery, also removal of COD, together with the membrane, together with different constructed wetland, you can see as we can, of course, achieve the Class A water reuse quality. And in addition, we are also aligned with the current regulation for water use. So the challenge is to avoid the membrane probably here, and we will see this potential in the following part, that is the Tunisian treatment train that will be presented lately. What we did in Greece? Well, in Greece we are working in Antissa, in Lesbos Island, and the main innovation here was the combination of a bioelectrified wetland that was combined with the sand filtration, nano-zero violent ion, and UV disinfection. Here you can see the train that was, even in this case, treating a few cubic meters per day. And the main objective that was achieved finally was Class B or Class A water use quality. All the units were operated for long term, actually about 2 years. Well, 400 days, as you can see here, but these are still operating to consolidate the results. And here you can see the different efficiencies of the operation units that were able to achieve very low concentrations of COD, BOD, also nitrogen and phosphorus. In particular, even the zero-valent iron was very effective in removing not only conventional contaminants, but also emerging contaminants and micropollutants. Here you can see the set of analysis that was done to verify the potential of this strain to remove emerging contaminants. That is an important topic under discussion. And finally, we were able to get results in terms of also pathogens. As you can see, we were able to achieve the class B water quality for water use, but the potential can be increased by upgrading of the disinfection. So the main challenge was here the upgrade of the disinfection, the final disinfection. Still, we had a lot of investigation to validate the nano zero-valent iron in terms of micropollutants removal. And as you can see, the performances, were quite surprising us, because the conventional tertiary effluent performed better than the other matrices, probably due to different CODs and TSS. But finally, we were also able to identify also some transformation products, and our target compounds were bisphenol A and diclofenac, as we did also for the treatment train that was presented before, together with the molecular imprinted polymers. Last but not least, that is a modification of the Italian treatment train is the Tunisian treatment train. This was integrated by ATEF in Tunisia and was operated in the Chotrana municipal treatment train that has a specific characteristic that is treating together with municipal wastewater, also industrial wastewater. So this was very challenging. And as you can see, this is a combination of anaerobic system and nature-based solution plus UV, where we don't have membrane treatment. So we wanted to test the best energy-efficient solution. And here, although this plant was operated around 30 degrees, the efficiency for COD was around 30%, most likely because of possible inhibition due to the industrial influent that is treated together with municipal influent. So this is another take-home message. If you want to reuse and optimize anaerobic treatment and energy footprint, be careful about the quality of the influent. And as you can see here, the combination anyway was still successful, because what was not done by the anaerobic treatment was then covered by the constructed wetland. In fact, as you can see here, finally, the wetland was able to achieve about 87% removal in terms of organic carbon, and also the nitrogen and phosphorus removal was very relevant. Finally, even the pathogens were in line with the class B reuse. So this combination is very, very promising, because it's optimizing energy, is optimizing also the potential for reuse. Of course, the footprint has to be optimized by having a better focus on wetland and also on the anaerobic system. Well, the disinfection is quite a conventional plant, and as you can see, by operating carefully this, we can easily achieve the class B according to the European standard. So here you will see the full train, and finally the water quality was successful thanks to this integration. And thanks for your attention. I hope I was in time.
Thank you, Francesco. I actually think that Stevo could do a better job reminding you for the time, but if he let you, then I also let you. So with this, we're closing the first group of presentations on municipal wastewater treatment. Now, the second obvious non-conventional water source that we had in mind with FIT4REUSE is the sea. Desalination is nothing new. We also showed during the quiz. But as indicated, brine and a lot of brine can be a problem. So I am inviting Sarit Basson from Mekorot, which is a national water company of Israel, and she will show us environmental improvements of desalination process that was achieved through FIT4REUSE. Sarit, the microphone and the pointer are here.
So again, I'm Sarit from Mekorot, from the desalination division. And in this presentation, I want to show you the main results obtained with the 4 pilots that operated as a part of work package 4, the desalination work package that mainly focused on environmental improvement in the desalination process. And in this slide, you can see that these 4 pilots were integrated along the desalination process. And the main main goals of this pilot were to reduce the energy consumption of the desalination process and to improve the brine desalination management. And we'll start with the pilot A, ISABAT pilot, which this pilot located in Tunisia and aimed to reduce the energy consumption by using hybrid configuration of NF and RO membranes, and also to use a clean and renewable photovoltaic cell. And regarding to the brine management, use the brine to irrigate different types of aloe vera. And you can see, in this slide, you can see the 3 parts, the scheme of the 3 parts of ISABAT pilot, which consists of 3 parts. In the middle, the desalination treatment to reduce the energy consumption, the hybrid membrane, where the brine from the NF membrane feed the RO units, and the brine from the RO units was used to irrigate 3 types of aloe vera, as you can see in this grid, using 3 different brine concentration. This is the second part of the pilot, and the third part, as you can see on the left side, is using photovoltaic cells that power this desalination system. And here you can see the photos of this pilot. On the left side, the desalination process, desalination system, and on the right side, the photovoltaic cell. And here are the results for this hybrid configuration, NF and RO. On the left side, you can see the results for the recovery rate. In the middle, the results for the rejection, salt rejection. And on the right side, the specific energy consumption. And the columns present 3 types of experiment: the standalone nanofiltration experiment, experiment only with RO membranes, and also the on the left side, on the right side, the hybrid configuration, NFRO. And the different color present this, the upper 3 different FIT concentration. And from the graph on the left side, you can see that this hybrid configuration, NFRO, obtained the highest recovery rate. In the middle, I will try to use the pointer. And in the middle, the salt rejection, you can see that this hybrid system obtained high and also competitive salt rejection to the RO. And this highest recovery rate and high salt rejection obtained in a much lower energy consumption. So this hybrid configuration, NFRO, was found to be more efficient in terms of high recoveries, high salt rejection, compared to RO and NF energy. And in this graph, in the bottom, you can see that the amount of energy generated by the photovoltaic cells was enough to power this system. And here you can see the brine management results. Irrigation of aloe vera plant with the brine of the desalination plant. And on the left side, you can see the growth parameter of 3 types of aloe vera types. V1, V2, V3 present 3 different types of aloe vera. And C, it's different concentration. C0, it's tap water for the control. And these results indicated that the growth parameter in terms of fresh weight, dry weight, decrease as the salt rejection of the brine increase. And also the plant mineral content and chlorophyll content results, together with the growth parameter. From this result, we can conclude that the aloe vera type can be irrigated with the moderate salinity of the brine. So to conclude this pilot, main conclusion is that the hybrid configuration NFRO found to be more efficient in terms of high recovery rate, high rejection in a lower energy compared to RO and NF membranes, and the energy that generated by the photovoltaic cells was enough to power this system, and the aloe vera types can be irrigated with a moderate concentration of salinity. And the further work Isabel will evaluate this system with real brackish water and also real seawater for a specific application. And also they considering to upscale this system for a small community to provide drinking water. Pilot B, Mekorot pilot, this pilot located in Israel. And the aim of this pilot is to reduce the differential pressure of both of the cartridge filter of the pretreatment and also the differential pressure of the RO. And, and as a result, to reduce the total energy consumption. And this was done by using two separated systems, FRD, fouling reduction device, and also cartridge filter skin. And in this photo, you can see this system. The first one is our local pilot plant with 30 cubic meter per hour. And from the photo and the scheme, you can see that we installed this FRD fouling reduction device in 3 places. In the inlet to the feed cartridge, into the inlet to the cartridge filter, in the inlet to the first stage and to the inlet of the second stage, because we want to examine the effect on each stage. These FRD devices is externally installed to the piping and transmit. Main mechanism is that it transmits an electric field into the pipe and the water, and supposed to prevent precipitation of salts and pressure. The second system is the micronic cartridge filter, and from the photo and the scheme, you can see that this system contains 2 branches to test in parallel different micronic filter. And the aim is to obtain a cartridge filter that have a lower differential pressure and also high particle removal to protect on the RO membranes, and also has a long lifespan. And here you can see the main results of the FRD effect with the differential pressure, one of the important membrane performance. On the left side, you can see the pilot results with the FRD device, and on the right side, the commercial without the FRD device, because we compare between this plant, because we use the same raw water. And from the results from the first stage, the upper graph, and from the results from the bottom graph, the main conclusion is that no significant effect or no improvement was obtained by using this FRD device, not with the differential pressure, but unfortunately not with other membrane performance parameters, such as permeate flow at the upper graph and salt passage at the bottom graph. Here in the second this is the second stage results, because here we accepted to see the effect of this FRD. So the conclusion was that there is no feasibility to continue with this experiment. There is no feasibility to continue with the original plan to install this device in our commercial unit. And here you can see the main results of the cartridge filter. Here we have been testing different cartridge filter, 0.5 micron, 1 micron, nominal and absolute. And in the upper graph, you can see the differential pressure of different cartridge filter. And in the bottom, the table presents the particle removal, but the result indicated that we didn't found yet the appropriate cartridge filter, the optimal one, We are still continuing to testing different type, hopefully to find the one that will obtain the lowest differential pressure, also high particle removal to protect on the RO membrane, and also lifespan. So we are continuing with this experiment. Pilot C, brine management pilot, also Mekorot pilot. This pilot located in Israel. And the background from this, for this pilot is by this true inland brackish water desalination plant, which are part from our Israeli coastal aquifer rehabilitation project. And importantly, the brine from this three inland desalination plant, brackish water desalination plant, is drained by a unique 30 kilometers brine disposal pipeline, which is marked here with the red line. And you can see that this brine pipeline continues to flow to the Mediterranean Sea. And this brine contains about 70 ppm nitrate as N, and the regulation requires us to reduce it to less than 5 ppm as N, and we are aiming to do it by the PBR. The PBR, the one that you saw in the video message. I forgot to say that this PBR contains natural microalgae that generated from our brine. And we operated this pilot in 3 modes in order to find the best configuration. On the left side, you can see the continuous one-stage operation. It was a continuous experiment where here the reactor obtained directly and continuous fresh brine from our commercial plant. In the middle, you can see the parallel system configuration, which is a batch experiment. In the middle, you can see the feed the brine tank, and from here, the brine split into 2 separated reactors and continues to circulate inside the system. The third one is the sequential dual reactor, also batch experiment, and here the brine enters first to the top reactor, then continues to flow to the bottom reactor and continues to circulate inside the system. And the results, here you can see the main results for the nitrate removal. On the left side, the continuous one stage, in the middle, the parallel dual reactor, and on the right side, the sequential. You can see that we obtain a reduction of the nitrate in the 3 operation mode. The total removal, as you can see in the table, is between 50 to 80%, where the best results was for the parallel dual reactor. And our further work, we are considering to combine between the parallel and the sequential in order to obtain the targeted value of less than 5 ppm and as N. So the main conclusion, this MBR photobioreactor can be customized for nitrate removal from the brackish water desalination plant. And the combination of this parallel and sequential, we are considered that it will, that we can obtain the targeted of less than 5. We also succeeded to characterize this microalgae, as you can see in the microscopic photo. And this microalgae, we did also another additional lab test, and this biomass found valuable as a food grade and can be used as a raw material, as a food supplement for animal nutrition. So the last pilot, the UniVPM, brine management, this pilot located in Tunisia. And the main aim of this pilot was to reduce the brine volume.
Sarit, apologies to interrupt, just try to make it quick so we can then proceed.
This is the last pilot. And in this pilot, this pilot aims to reduce the brine volume according to the ZLD, zero liquid discharge approach, and also to choose the best treatment for high recoveries of mineral, nutrient, and salt, and also reuse these salts according to the circular economic approach. And here you can see briefly that in the beginning, a theoretical evaluation of the existing methods, chemical, thermal, membrane-based, physical, and chemical methods, in order to choose the best treatment for in terms of to obtain high recovery of water, nutrient, salts, and reuse. And obviously, this selected treatment should be obtained a reasonable or lower energy consumption. So here you can see in this diagram the selected trains. The train number 1 contains thermal evaporation, where the salts that recover from this treatment reuse for salt and nutrient recovery from wastewater effluent. The second train used the chemical precipitation as a pre-treatment, followed by forward osmosis, and then additional chemical precipitation. And again, the salts, the recovered mineral and salt, used for reuse of salt and nutrient from wastewater MBR. And the train number 3 also consists of partial thermal evaporation together with chemical precipitation, followed by forward osmosis and as a post-treatment, additional chemical precipitation. And again, the recovered mineral and salt reused to recover salt effluent or nutrient from wastewater effluent. Here you can see the photos of this experiment and the important operational parameter. And for the results, you can see the train 1 with the thermal evaporation, high recovery of fresh water, calcium, and magnesium was obtained, but with high energy demand. Train number 2, good recoveries of fresh water, calcium, and magnesium obtained with the low energy. Actually, it was the lowest energy compared to the other trains. And train number 3, medium recovery obtained, but with scaling, with high scaling. And this due to supersaturation during the forward osmosis. And importantly, the XRD indicated that these 3 recovered salt, basanite, bromide, and calcite that you can see on the right side that can be reused in different and various industries, construction industry, the plastic industry, and then so on. And in this diagram, you can see that the impact of each trend in terms of magnesium, calcium, specific energy, and OPEX, where in the outer blue square, you can see that the highest recovery of this blue square represents train number 1, the highest magnesium, calcium, specific energy, and OPEX obtained, the highest recovery, but the highest energy. And in the green, you can see that medium recovery of magnesium and calcium obtained with the lowest energy consumption. So this impact of each train will further tested, considering the performance, cost, on resources of energy, chemical, and so on. So to conclude this pilot, that we saw that possible brine management strategies can be applied for both reducing the volume of the brine to be disposed, but also to recover important resources such as salt, fresh water. And also we saw that simultaneous recovery of calcium and magnesium were obtained with the thermal and the chemical processes. And the combination of this treatment, these 3 trains, achieved the ZLD minimum of brine. And it was essential not just for the ZLD, but the sustainability, but also for to valorize this mineral and reuse it in different industries. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarit. Well, we have been afraid of Francesco, but next time, Stevo, please keep an eye on Sarit. Apparently, she likes to have long presentations as well. We know that this is a very information-dense day, so just a reminder, all of the presentations will be available, the recording will be available, and we're of course happy to answer all the questions that there will be to further discuss and show the results that we achieved. But we're not done yet, so we have just one last session, a very, very interesting presentation, different than the ones before. So to further develop those solutions that we presented until now, but even more importantly, to explore how the solutions can be implemented elsewhere in different locations, different conditions. There was also a simulation platform designed in this project. The work on the simulation was led by Özlem Karahan Özgun from İTÜNOVA, from Istanbul in Turkey, and I invite her to come on the stage to also show this. And the pointer is here.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Yes, it has been a long afternoon, but we have listened to very intensive studies on site. Now it's time to move further with the exploration of the possibilities of taking these studies to further to other sites or other examples. As we all know, the mathematical models are perfectly capable of simulating the developed solutions, scientific solutions, technological solutions. But what we need to do is to simplify these models so that everybody that are related with water reuse could be able to use them for their decision-making purposes in order to decide which would be the best option for them, their situation, to replicate these technologies that have been developed in the FIT4REUSE project. So mainly we have designed this simulation platform for the users to have a good idea about their, in terms of their decision-making process. So we kept it simple and easy to use, so that everybody will be able to use them even without knowing too much about the physicochemical or biological processes behind those solutions. What we have done with this simulation platform is that we have models for nature-based solutions. We have models for the intensive solutions that have been developed in the project. We didn't have specific models for desalination systems, but we made use of external models that are already available, free, and we have already got the license agreements to use them within our simulation platform. However, we have developed models for the brine treatment and valorization. So from all these very intensive site studies, we were successful to develop a simulation platform in order to predict the performances of these very valuable treatment options. And what are the capabilities of our simulation platform? We need to have the required treatment performance, first of all, right? But it's not only the conventional parameters, as we have already listened to our colleagues, but we have to also take care of the micropollutants and the pathogens that are already present in our effluents. So the simulation platform is capable of simulating the performance of the treatment solutions, both for conventional parameters and also for emerging pollutants and also for the pathogens. We also have tools to evaluate the costs of the treatment trains by calculating the energy consumption of the solution and the carbon dioxide generation for the, to select the most suitable and sustainable treatment train. So how are we going to use this simulation platform? It's really easy. Once you should first define your specific case, right? Which conventional, non-conventional water resource is going to be used? What is your target? Is it class A water we want? Is it class B? What are your regional environmental conditions? Are you going to work with hot climates, in hot climates, or warm climates? That is just your regional environmental conditions. And what are the regional regulatory compliances? So what achievement would you prefer with your reuse solution? So once you decide on these targets, that's just two-step procedure. First of all, you decide on your proposed treatment train. You define your single units. You define your volumes, operating conditions, wastewater characteristics, and of course, the model stoichiometry and kinetic values. We already have the default values for that, thanks to all the partners with so many experiments. And so, I mean, the users can also make use of these default values from all the experiments we have done in the 3 years of FIT4REUSE. And then you just click a button and you get your simulation results. So easy. And how predictive is this simple simulation platform? These are some of the results. And you can see here the constructed wetland system with the NZVI column and UV disinfection in the end. And you see the conventional parameters like COD, total nitrogen, and total phosphorus can be very well simulated. In addition to that, we have the bisphenol A simulation, diclofenac, and E. coli simulation. That would give you the actual performance of the treatment train here. Another example is our integrated system from Tunisia. It's a USAB, horizontal flow wetland, and the UV system. In the USAB, it's a longer period of time. We have the COD, nitrogen, phosphorus, again, very well simulated in the same how would I say, scale, and the same scale. We have the results. And this is the USAB results. This is the horizontal flow results, and this is the UV. You don't see any dots because UV system was working perfectly. There were no E. coli detected in the effluent. So, for the desalination systems, as I have mentioned, we have made use of external software. So the simulation platform is capable of integrating any external software already that's already present. And for the for the desalination systems, we have used ROSA software, and Wave design software is also available if you want to use it. For the chemical precipitation, we use the Visual Mintech software that has been developed, and these are some results from these external softwares for simulating the desalination systems. And for the brine treatment, we have the PBR, algae PBR, that has been operated here. See, there is a very good simulation result, and this is the carbon dioxide that has been simulated. We have thermal evaporation. So if you want to evaporate your brine, you will know how much pressure or how much temperature, how much heat you would need to get the evaporation ratio you want. So the features of the simulation platform, just to wrap up, we can handle dynamic simulations with multiple units, and we have the ability to work with time series. That means you don't need average data. If you have a data for a year or two, we can work with it with the simulation platform, so you can go deeper in your decision-making process. And we can apply linear or cubic spline interpolation into the input data. If there is some time delay in your data, or I mean some part of the data is missing, we can interpolate it so the program runs smoothly. We can plot all the output data, as you have already seen. We have the ability to create flow schemes, so you can have parallel flows. You don't have to have a single line of treatment train, but we can also split your flows and then combine them if you want to run parallel systems. We have, of course, all the ability to save and load configurations that you have already defined from your previous exercises with the simulation platform. So, as I have mentioned, the simulation platform is really user-friendly. It has a simple graphical user interface, and it has a flexible architecture. And this is very important because this simulation platform can be further developed to include more solutions that will be the more technological solutions into the platform, so we can extend our solution library. And the efficient use of simulation platform will, of course, reduce the need for specific case studies, at least for the beginning of the decision-making process. And, well, with the simulation platform, we could get the best integrated scheme of innovative solutions for a sustainable reuse option. And of course, we can reveal the treatment performance in terms of water quality, in terms of energy consumption, and in terms of carbon footprint, which is really essential for a sustainable water reuse. And having said that, I would like to thank all the participants here in person and also all the participants online. And I would also like to thank the organizers, and especially for the very nice weather which they have organized in Bologna this week. Thank you very much.
Especially weather is fantastic. No, but today is good. All right, so thank you, Özlem, for this last presentation of today. I hope everyone is still awake. We promise that we will be accepting questions now at the end and have a discussion. We will be cutting this session rather short, so we will accept only 1 or 2 short questions from the crowd. But so I do invite you, however, to hold the questions for tomorrow, where we will have a bit more relaxed schedule, so that everything can be addressed. So I have a microphone, and I invite from the crowd, perhaps if there's a short question, especially from the panelists before or anyone else who didn't speak yet, if you have any questions for the presentations, 5 presentations of today. For now, I don't see movement, but first I will give to Francesco to see how long it will take. So, Francesco, here you go.
The platform that you presented, Özlem, is really very nice, and you presented also the potential of doing prediction. As we saw during the experimental phase, we had some issues of temperature, industrial effluents, and so on. So, how can we use this practically by, I'm saying by non-specialists, because when we are not modelists, to do scenario simulations and so on. Is it ready, or we still need further implementation? So about the follow-up of the project, that's the question.
Özlem?
Thank you. Well, good question, Francesco. Yes, it is ready to be used, but of course...
Can you stand up? So no, if you can just stand up so you're also visible in the camera.
Okay.
That's...
So, well, the platform is ready. Everybody can use it just with a mouse click. But of course, we are working on how to make it better or easier to use for other, unexperienced users. We could add a library to that, especially with the kinetic and stoichiometric coefficients. It could be sometimes not that easy for them. And we have to, of course, have test runs with unexperienced users, because until now it was only our partners and people who were involved already in modeling. So we need to see the experience of the unexperienced users and see how to even more simplify the platform or develop it further. But it's ready to use. You can just, press the mouse and input your data, just provide your Excel file, input file, and click on the mouse, and it works.
So for everyone interested, the platform is available at fit4reuse.org, and you can access it there. Stevo, is your question short? Then please stand up to ask a question.
Actually, I wanted to ask a different one, but Francesco stole the question from me. But I have a question for Atef, actually. No, because we tested nature-based solutions in different parts of the Mediterranean. So just in your opinion, what aspects of nature-based solutions of constructed wetlands we should work on to improve their performance in the future, especially in the context of water reuse?
Actually, I think that one of the most robust techniques that we used in Fit4Reuse was the nature-based solution, namely the constructed wetlands. And maybe the results that we obtained confirmed that it is working in all cases, in northern part, in southern part of the Mediterranean area. And even if we met some problems, for example, in our case with an aerobic system, we didn't face the same problems when we were using the nature-based solutions. Of course, the main problem is that they are requiring a wide area to be implemented. But I think that it could it could be very useful in many cases, especially when the load is, in terms of quantity, hydro load is low. Thank you.
Thank you, Atef. And with this, I'm closing actually this very short question and answers session. But again, keep the questions and we will see how to address it tomorrow. And I invite Attilio to close today's water use days. Do you want this microphone or?
Oh, yes, I think.
Okay.
So, this was a very intensive afternoon, so I have to thank all the speakers, all the partners, and above all the participants also online. So I believe that this is just a first part of the efforts that all the Fit4Reuse partners have done during these 3 years and a half, but you will see more and more also today. So thanks to all of you, thanks to the participants, and Stevo, I don't remember the time tomorrow to start, at 9:30, sorry. 9:30 tomorrow morning here, and for registration and start of the second day of the third Water Reuse Day. Thank you so much to everyone. Bye-bye.